please welcome my guest for this evening, GamerGoblinGary.
Oh, hi everybody. Welcome on in.
Hello, hello. Gary, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Jay. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend so far.
Oh, definitely. Very, very good weekend so far. I have a couple things planned with some friends for later on. Oh, Sir Westy, thank you so much for the follow. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to today. That, like I said, this is the first show I've had in a couple weeks, so I've actually been looking forward to this for almost 3 weeks now.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me join in today.
Pleasure's all mine. Goblin After Dark, thank you for follow. Also, I think I need to do the layers on a couple things, but I'll figure that out later. But I'm trying to remember, because I've been aware of you, Gary, for a while now, and I'm usually able to sort of trace, all right, how did I get introduced to someone? Sometimes it's via a raid. To the best of my memory, I think the first time I saw you would have been around one of Poppy's chats.
Ooh, oh, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, when I popped in his a while back then.
At least I think so. Also, Yo Ram Sun DEM. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that properly. Thank you for the follow.
Yeah, that's Sun. Hi, Sun.
Yeah, okay, Sun, that's much easier than Yo Riam.
Very close, yeah. Goodness, I remember. I think it was because of Minerva.
It might have been Min. It absolutely could have been Min. That's one of the things of, this is episode 65 of Vtuber Talk, and it's getting difficult to sort of connect all these dots, that it's becoming this giant web of my past guests. And like, all right, who's related to who? Who's in the groups with who? How do I get introduced to different people from different people? Because at this point, I would say 90% of the time, folks that I have on the show are at least friends with one other person that has been on my show previously. The VTuber community is very big, but it's also very small. People know each other. Yeah. And, with as many shows as I've done at this point, it's more likely than not that somebody knows somebody.
Yeah, it's a big old web of connections, honestly. It's really insane.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun, and it certainly makes life easier for me because, I spend a not insignificant amount of time looking around for folks that I want to have on the show, because I'm not going to just, invite someone because they have numbers or because I just happen to like their design. That's it. I do very much like your design. But, I need to be able to vibe with someone. And fortunately, it just becomes sort of indirect introductions of when somebody raids somebody else, or I see somebody else in a previous guest's chat, that it very naturally flows.
Totally understand.
But you've been pretty busy lately, Gary, that you had your 1-year stream anniversary recently, but also had your debut for your new Senpai model. That this is not the Senpai model we're seeing right now.
No.
But I know that was one that you've been very much building up to for a while. So I'm glad you finally got to reveal that and have that little debut for it. And also, just celebrating 1 year. 1 year's a long time, man.
It's such a weird, short, but also long time, because there was so much that was done the past year, but also feels like, I just started VTubing yesterday. What happened?
Yeah.
Where did the time go?
I had my 1-year anniversary in January, and I remember seeing you stop by for that. I think you actually donated a couple dollars, so thank you for the donations.
I remember the Scooby-Doo, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, that was fun. So for those of you who weren't around, one of the incentives that I had for my 1-year anniversary was a charity marathon benefiting a charity called Child's Play. And I said, if somebody donates $100 or more, that I will give them a 30-second safe for work audio recording, their choice, whatever. And you were one of the people that took advantage of that. And you said that you were interested in the What's New Scooby-Doo theme song. And I looked it up, and it's a 1-minute theme song, just about exactly. And I was actually able to find a sort of karaoke backtrack that someone on YouTube had ripped out the audios, and I was able to get that. So I started recording, and I was like, this is too much fun of a song to just, leave halfway through. So I actually gave you double for the price of one, that I recorded that full theme song. Absolutely worth it. and I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I think it was Poppy who was on with Barry on that day. It was like
That's
I
right.
think
Yeah, they were
Poppy
the
was
ones
the
that
one.
that had that idea.
Yeah, and I was just oh, I had to go up there. I had to do that one for sure.
Hmm.
Loved it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen much of any Scooby Doo because, obviously Scooby Doo has been on the air basically perpetually for the past, I don't know, almost 50 years
Ooh.
now. I forget what
Yeah, I was
year it
about to say
debuted, but
50.
um, but what's new Scooby Doo being in the early 2000s, it was never something I watched every day, but goodness knows I already knew that theme song by heart. That was just one of those earworm ones that I don't know. It's probably a good amount of nostalgia, but I remember a lot of the theme songs for shows that I grew up with.
For sure. It just sticks with you.
Hmm. Also, hello to everyone who's joining in chat. A bunch of new chatters. Sir Westy, Goblin After Dark, Lishi the Dwarf, Blair Wolf VT, and Bubba1031022GS.
Oh, that's his
Very
name,
specific set of
Yes, it
characters
is.
right there. But yes, welcome on in, folks. And 6507. And it is absolutely a really catchy theme. So, was it What's New Scooby-Doo something that you really grew up with? Is Scooby-Doo a series that you sort of have a history with, or was it just you heard that idea and you're like, that just sounds too fun to not take advantage of?
I actually never watched a whole lot of What's New. I grew up, of course, with like the classic, the
Mhm.
Scooby Doo, the 12 Ghosts, I think it was.
Yeah,
The,
Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I think.
yes, the Where Are You? Oh, it's so good. But when Poppy mentioned it, I was like, oh, I could hear your voice doing that. And I was just like, I had to take up on that offer.
Yeah,
So
and it
it's
was
a good
actually
idea.
in a very comfortable range for me. That it was that early 2000s sort of rock type of thing, and it was a little bit higher for my range, but it wasn't pushing anything certainly.
Yeah, just comfortable enough.
Yeah. Oh boy, but I suppose that sort of brings us into an interesting for you that I hadn't even thought about it. This just sort of lined up nicely, but What's New Scooby-Doo being a bit more of a rock theme song and talking about saying that for you, obviously, punk rock is literally and figuratively your brand. So,
Yes, absolutely.
how long have you been into music and punk rock in particular, and what is your role, or what are your roles as a performer? That are you vocalist, instrumentalist, both?
Oh, let's see. So I play in a rock band. It's actually not like super punk or anything like that, but we have like a little bit of like post punk influence for sure. I
Mm,
play rhythm guitar. I do a synth for like the recording sessions and also backup vocals on my stage and everything like that. Oh man, I started off as a little goblin. I picked up a guitar. I went to a pawn shop with my grandpa. He got me a guitar. It was a BC Rich Warlock. It's super heavy metal kind of stuff. When I first grew up, I loved like Iron Maiden and everything like that. But then eventually, as you grow older, your tastes change and everything like that. And so did my fondness for music.
mm, that for me, I was never really into the rock scene as a performer. That um, I actually am a band geek. I play trombone. I started in middle school, went through high school, college, and uh, I'm very familiar with musical performance. I've worked backstage on a couple of performances that had some rock elements and some symphonic elements. Um, but obviously, rock and symphonies don't inherently have a ton of overlap, but uh, there's still a lot of the back end, I suppose, and just the overall performance of it all. And do you have any favorite performances that you had that obviously don't go into specifics, don't talk to yourself, but if there are any favorite
Of course.
venues you have that don't mention them by name, but sort of environments that stuck out in your mind?
Oh man, we played for a college once, and it was like something that we weren't really expecting it to be like super big or anything. It's like an arts college,
Mm,
and we played there for like maybe about like half an hour or anything. We didn't expect a whole lot of people to be there. I was like a packed show of like 500 or something like that, and all of them were just like they were just having a blast, dancing around. It was one of our favorite performances that we've ever done. Usually, some people are just like a little too tame, a little too shy to get like to the front stage and everything like that. But these guys were just rocking out, and it was such a man, we were just starting to get back up the band again, and it felt nice seeing everyone just into the music. Just super inspiring to keep going.
Yeah, it's always good when you find a venue or a crowd that you might not expect a ton from. Then you're like, okay, it's another show, and you assume, all right, folks that are going to be in the crowd are usually there because they want to be and that they're going to have a good time. But some crowds are more engaged than others. That's just how it is.
It's true.
And being able to sort of walk in with perhaps low expectations and find that the crowd is much more amped up than you expected is such a good feeling.
Oh, yeah, it's such a good feel. It just made us all grin ear to ear when we were packing down and everything like that. Like, oh man, it's like one of the things you don't like look forward to after you like do a show is like packing down. But like we were just so happy, even though we were tired, we were sweating up a storm and loading up heavy equipment. It didn't even matter at that point.
Yeah. That packing up is you're usually very tired, and it can vary, frankly, based on how the show went, of just how energized you are while packing up and everything. That sometimes, all right, it's another show, it's average, and you're doing all right, it's baseline, nothing wrong with that. That heck,
exactly.
if you can get baseline consistently, you're doing well. And some shows you're packing them, you're probably not feeling yourself. It's like, all right, I missed that entrance, or we had something go haywire, or sometimes it's the crowd wasn't super engaged, and that can sort of rub off on you. But when you just have either a really good show because you and the band were on point, and even if the crowd wasn't as jazzed as you all are, that you put on a damn good show. Or sometimes that it's just it doesn't matter how the show went, that if the crowd's into it, you're into it that night, and you're just riding that high for the rest of the day.
It's so good. I love, even though we do have our like moments like that for sure. Like, hey, some lows, but like more so highs. It's usually that way.
Absolutely. And that even for me, doing some symphonic stuff, that when you're in school, that the performances are usually only once a semester or something, or maybe a couple times a semester. So those performances really count. And that, fortunately, there have been very few performances that I've packed up from for those types of shows where I was, not happy. There was ones that I've toured with for a little bit that, it's a very different feel when it's not in school, and when you're, at a new venue and only performing there once, having to actually acclimate to, sometimes there's different back of house or setting up on stage, and there's so many different logistics that people don't realize that goes into it, and that usually the band is going to end up being responsible for a lot of this setup. That unless you're I don't know, one of the really, really big touring acts, usually you don't have people doing all your setup for you, that you're gonna at the very least have a hand in it.
Yeah, usually we're the ones doing the heavy lifting.
So you mentioned that you got your first guitar when you were a very young little goblin at a pawn shop, and it's like it sounds almost cliche, but in a good way, that it's the type of thing that I suppose it's a trope because it is a shared experience by many. What type of guitar do you have nowadays, and how long have you had that one?
Let's see. I have a collection of guitars now.
I probably should have known that usually it doesn't become, all right, you have a guitar, that you have a set.
Exactly. Right now, my main one is a nice red, what's the word? A Gristle Master by the Reverend brand. It's a Telecaster. It's a T-body shape, and it rings so just nicely. So good, and it's very uniquely shaped for it too.
Mm-hmm. the production that I did a bit of touring with, the guitarist there had just 5 or 6 different ones, and they were all very unique in their own way. Basically, the stuff that I did for them, it was a little bit of backstage, just sort of assistant stage manager type stuff. So my role would shift from show to show just based on whatever was needed. And it was, a couple times that I had to get out the guitars or sort of be ready in the wings between numbers for him to switch things out, and everything is just, it's precious cargo. The guitars are just, be very careful as you unpack them, as you pack them, hand them off with 2 hands, be gentle, because they are very expensive, very finely made, and tuned just so that you don't want to knock them.
Yep. Know that one for sure.
Are there any shows that stick out for you in your memory of just that things went really well, or things that I suppose are funny to look back on, even if they weren't necessarily funny in the moment? Because things go wrong in shows. It doesn't matter if it's stage musical, if it's a rock performance, that in live events and just live production, there's gonna be times that things go sideways. And usually, as long as you live to perform another day, that you're able to look back on them with at least some semblance of levity. Some not so much, but more often than not, I found that you can sort of look back and say, oh, wasn't it funny that time that the microphone blew out? That wasn't good right then, but hey, we made it through and we kept going.
Yeah, I've definitely had like a couple of those. I think the most iconic one I think I had personally when I played the show was I had just got this new guitar, nice new Jazzmaster, and I was so stoked to play it finally. We had played it for practice here and there for like the past 2 weeks to get ready for the show, and it was the only guitar I brought. Usually I bring like 2 just to be safe. Like, what if I break
the one time that you... I said something about our sound test earlier today. It was like, hey, Gary, if you can be ready about 30 minutes ahead of time, that sound test should only take about 5 minutes, but we all know that the one time that you don't set time aside for your sound test is one time everything's going to blow up. And sure enough, I'm guessing the one time that you say, oh, I don't need to bring 2 guitars. ...
Yep, the one time. Playing like, we only played like a 30-minute set. It's pretty normal for like 30, 45 minutes for like indie bands. But the one time I didn't bring like a spare guitar, or one of my guitars didn't bring a spare guitar, is like halfway through a set, my Jazzmaster just suddenly just sounds terrible, and I wasn't understanding as to why, so I kept like retuning it, and no strings broke or anything like that. Well, except at the very, very end, one string broke. But the saddle, like the bridge that holds the strings, the way that it is, because it's a vintage like saddle like design, strings can be easily knocked off on it. And I didn't know that when I bought this guitar. Like that was just a feature essentially, basically. So I was just like, I was so stressed. Yeah, whoopsie doopsie, it's all gone wrong. Everything's kind of like happened, and then I figured it out, and like I kept having to like put it on the saddle, and it would just keep every song, like every like bit, like every chorus,
just sort of reset itself
again. Yeah, and then finally the last song we played, which I think was our most like listened to song at that time, was when like the high E strings broke on me.
Oh no, that's a unique feeling for anyone who plays a string instrument. That just terrible sound, and that your heart sinks because it happens in a split second that you hear the toom, and oh no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
So it was a fun time having to deal with all that stress. I've never been so stressed at a show. I've had a couple of times, but not in that stress for sure. But it was funny to look back on. I was like, I should have brought the other guitar. I should have brought my other Telecaster or something.
It wasn't me, but I had a friend in high school. It was a marching band competition, and we get to the competition. It was like an hour and a half from our school, sort of a regional thing. So, not a huge trip, but it was something that we had to spend a Saturday on. We get there, we start to unpack everything, and he just has this look on his face as he grabs his instrument. He opens his case. It's his concert tuba, not his marching tuba.
Oh, pain.
Now, for those of you who aren't in marching band, there's two primary types of marching tubas. One is the sousaphone, which is, the big, I suppose more stereotypical marching tuba that sort of wraps around you and has the big bell above your head. There's the other marching tuba, which is, an actual marching tuba, not a sousaphone, where you have it over the shoulder. And the way that the mouthpiece is set is such that, it will wind up where it needs to be while you have the instrument over your shoulder. And concert one naturally is one where you have it in your lap, and that the neck, so to speak, of the mouthpiece is in a different place for a marching tuba versus a concert tuba. So this poor guy, he did it. He marched that damn competition. He marched that show, but that meant that instead of being able to carry around this large, 30-ish pound instrument, something like that, on his shoulder, which is much more manageable, he had to carry it in his arms like a baby.
Oh my God.
And he did it. And, he was a very good musician, so he was fine, but that was one of those things of just, we all sort of looked at each other like, the show will go on. We're not dead in the water. Yeah. But he did not have a great time that day.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Oh my goodness. Just that weight distribution being different. While you have to march along and everything like that. Yeah, it must have been super tuckered out.
Oh yeah. And usually marching shows are about 10 to 15 minutes. And that doesn't sound like a lot. You try carrying around, 30, 35 pounds, whatever it is, while playing, while doing everything else that is required for marching.
Yeah.
For 10 to 15 minutes, it'll be a hell of a workout there.
For sure. And also wearing the marching band outfits and everything like that. Probably not super fun to
Now, fortunately, it was cold.
That's
so
good.
One thing I've been very open about is that I grew up in Maryland. And Maryland gets all 4 seasons, not necessarily in equal duration or in the correct order, but we get all 4 seasons.
Yes.
And usually marching band competitions for us wound up in October-ish, so starting to get chillier in the evenings. It wasn't the coldest competition we ever had. There are competitions that I've done that I remember I couldn't feel my fingers at the end of the day. And I was very lucky because, trombonist, I just need to be able to hold the slide, and, I can let my fingers sort of freeze in place, in the grip, and that's okay. I wasn't one of the poor clarinetists or trumpet players who have to worry about actual finger dexterity. That the dexterity for me is in my wrist and my arm as a musician, not the fingers. So got off a little bit easy that time.
Yeah, luckily enough. Goodness.
Yeah, and then there's always the classics of just some tech goes wrong, of a mic doesn't cooperate, or a light goes out, or a camera's not working, and you work through those, and it's just part of the experience. When I set up Vtuber Talk, I very much, put the pieces together such that there would be as few moving parts as possible, because the fewer moving parts, the fewer things that can go wrong, and I'm just fortunate that for how a talk show like this works, that is something that is possible, because there are many productions where even if you try to streamline things, minimize things, there's always going to be more moving parts than you probably want to have to keep track of, but it's just how it goes.
Oh, yeah. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in terms of either, performance or just overall musicianship that you used to have either trouble with, or that was something that you didn't necessarily look forward to that you now really enjoy or think that you would excel at?
Um, Honestly, I don't think I've had anything specifically like that I've had issues with before. Not that come to mind, honestly.
Mm, I remember for me, playing trombone that, I picked it up in 7th grade and I was a little bit behind the curve because some folks started in 4th, 5th grade, so had to get used to that. But for me, there was a thing of confidence early on of just, being able to handle certain note runs and getting comfortable for that. But fortunately, there weren't too many specific big things. But so also, Dynamite Havoc, hello, welcome on in. Also, I missed a follow earlier. The Baconeer, thank you very much for the follow. That's a fun name.
Yes, a good one.
So we sort of jumped into things, obviously, of just, how we got introduced and then into music. I completely forgot to actually let you have a proper introduction. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. How we go with it. The show must go on. We run with how we run.
Yep.
Absolutely. We know this for sure.
Yes, I suppose better late than never. If you could tell the fine folks who might not have been able to put 2 and 2 together who you are, what you do.
Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm GamerGoblinGary. You can call me Gary, Triple G, that goblin guy that has the crop top, whatever you wish. I used to live in a different realm, and I got reverse isekai into where we are right now, and now I'm a punk rock variety VTuber. I have a merch store too. Oh my god.
The GamerGoblinGary
Oh
with
my
the
God.
merch store? Also, hi, man.
Hi,
I'm not sure
man.
if you were in earlier, but when we were talking about how I came to know about Gary, I was like, I think it might have been in a Poppy stream, but he thinks it might have been one of yours, and I think he might be
Pretty
right,
sure.
actually.
It could be possibly it was also Poppy, but I think the one time I actually was introduced towards you definitely was Mid.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you are actually a member of Fantasy Inc. I need to actually do a little bit of inventory and figure out how many folks from Fantasy Inc. I've had on the show, but you're not the first.
Yes. Let's see. Oh man, there's a good amount of us. Definitely Barry for sure. Happy's also in there. It could have been. Yeah, I've been around for a year now. Think about it. Let's see. Yeah, Fantasy Inc. What a lovely group of individuals that I've been so blessed to be a part of now, and I get to hang out with them pretty frequently. It feels like now.
Yeah, you've definitely been doing more collabs. That you've been doing some Final Fantasy ones with Min and others, and I suppose that might be a good place to go next. I feel like I'm missing out by not playing Final Fantasy XIV because an increasing number of my guests play this game, and I do not.
Yes.
I've played Final Fantasy games over the years, so I'm not completely ignorant to how things work in the world and whatnot. But it's been really cool to see the growth of Final Fantasy XIV, especially after its slightly troubled history. And I know Endwalker was a big thing for a lot of folks. But you only recently started doing a pretty regular collab with Min, Barry, and a couple others. Did you just start playing, or was it just that the group of you started to do this particular regularly scheduled collab after all you had been playing for a while? Because I know Min has played for a hot minute, that we definitely talked a lot about 14, and obviously the twinning remains a thing, but
yes. Never leaves our head. It's always there, rent free. I played Final Fantasy XIV basically when the beta for A Realm Reborn came out.
Oh, okay, so you've been there since the start.
Sort of, at least. I stopped playing after the beta, or I guess a little bit after Realm Reborn, and then once Stormblood came around is when I super got heavy back into it. And then ever since I've just kept my subscription and been playing here and there. And we only most recently started the collab because we were just like, Red hasn't played this game, and Red's been interested in doing like more.
Okay, stuff. So that was the piece. Because like, usually when a group starts, that it's because at least one person in it hasn't played before. So
Yes.
that's the one, Red.
Yeah, Red Claw. What a good being. Never played it, and luckily enough is just absolutely adoring it. I've been interested to play like the older content like again because it's been like about 8 years since I've actually touched that part of
Oh my
the
gosh,
game.
it has been out that long,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
A little bit. I think what 10 years now or something like
It's
that. Yeah.
it's incredible to think it's actually been out that long.
I know it's crazy, but it's so fun. Absolutely love it.
So, what are you playing as right now? That I'm sure you've had multiple characters over the years, but what's your most recent one?
I've rolled up a Rogadin, which is for those who don't know, is a big like seafaring like orcish kind of dude, but not really orcish, just big burly guy. And I rolled up Black Mage because I've never played much of the caster types, but then I've been kind of lagging behind my pals there for the collab there, so I just joined them in for the story and play as a samurai because my levels on Black Mage are just not there yet. I need to catch up.
Gotcha. Yeah, that I usually go for the magic types. That I enjoy those. But I've been sort of moving around to a lot of different classes in the different games I play, whether it be D&D or different RPGs, and just exploring different ones. But historically, magic users are usually where I default to.
Heck yeah, love it.
Now, I'm guessing you don't actually play as a goblin in that. I'm trying to remember if goblins are actually a option in Final Fantasy XIV. I don't think they are.
No, they have a goblin race, but they're only NPCs.
Mhm.
They have like the Lalafell, which I guess would be like the closest to goblins. But no, I decided to opt for a bigger stature for sure.
Yes. So in addition to Final Fantasy XIV, you mentioned that the Monster Hunter series is one that you very much enjoy. I know a good chunk of folks that I've had on the past like that as well. Monster Hunter is actually a series I never really got into, and I feel like I need to sometime because it's fun to watch. That it's this cool combination of an RPG and then also in some ways almost like a Souls game when you're taking on these big giant bosses and everything.
Oh yeah.
But I think the key to it is really having a group to play with, because I see some people playing individually, and I'm obviously, that's a totally valid option, but it's so cool seeing, like Giga, Moriko, and Grape, three of my past guests that have actually a weekly one that they do together with a couple other folks, and they just have a blast together.
Yeah, it's definitely a game more suited for like having friends along, because I think that was when they made Monster Hunter way back on the PlayStation 2. It's like, hey, this game has to have co-op, internet co-op. We're doing this thing for PlayStation 2 or whatever. If that's what I recall. I never played it back then though. But I think that was like the thing. It was like, hey, make a game, Capcom, that has internet playability. And they're like, Monster Hunter, here we go.
Ta-da!
And it worked.
Yeah, they've been... I've lost track because they don't use numbers in their releases, that they have the different subtitles and everything, so I have lost track of just how many Monster Hunter games there have been. But I know that there is a new one coming out soon, but that Monster Hunter Rise is one of the more recent ones. But it's always fun to just sort of tune in. Even if I have no idea what the heck is going on, it's always a good time watching people, bash monsters.
Yeah, it's something so arcadey and just normal. Like, go fight big monster and use their materials to make
weapon to fight bigger monster.
Yeah, it's such a good... I love it so much. When I first started playing Monster Hunter, I actually didn't like it very much. I think it's a lot of video games I didn't like very much, and I just eventually just became like, I love this game. I can't stop raving about this game now that I went back to it. And Monster Hunter definitely was that kind of game for me too.
So you mentioned that you're going with that you were experimenting with a magic user, but then defaulted back to a samurai in FF14. What's your playstyle like in Monster Hunter?
Hammer, for sure. I've been playing a lot of Hammer, just smacking them all in the head and just kind of not stunning them. It's been a fun time because I never actually played that weapon too much.
Hmm. Yeah, at that point. So, I guess sort of to use a D&D analogy, a samurai sort of feels like a monk that it's bigger, but that it's probably based in a lot of quicker blows, swinging sword, whereas a hammer is going to be sort of your barbarian. You're going to have your one big punch, your one big hit with the hammer, just do massive damage, stun, and being the tank.
Yeah, basically, there's no think, just swing hammer. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. I hit thing hard, thing stop moving. I succeed.
Bingo, right there.
Is there a particular either story of an expedition gone right or wrong recently, or anything that you're looking towards, like the next thing you want to do for your character in that game?
I've not played much of Rise recently. I've been wanting to get back into it just with the past couple of weeks and I guess like the past month, trying to get set up for like the 1 year stuff.
Very fair.
I know the new Sunbreak. It's like basically like just an updated version of Rise is coming out, and I want to get my hunter rake up, and I've just been so slacking in regards to that. I think I'm like hunter rake 7 out of what people are like 99 or so more probably. I've been behind.
Yeah, maybe what I'll need to do is look into perhaps finally getting into the game when that next release comes out. That everyone's so far into Rise right now that if I'm gonna get into the game, I'd have to just sort of solo things. But if I can actually get in on the ground floor of a new release when everyone's restarting because it's a new game, new system, that then I might be able to find some folks to play with and go about things that way. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that, because that is one of the ones that I don't play nearly as many video games as I used to, but I look at Monster Hunter as, okay, I say that there are a lot of games that I need to play, and I say that I'm going to play a lot of games, but I know that there are so many games that I say I'm going to play that I'm not actually going to. I genuinely actually do think that Monster Hunter might be one of the ones that I do actually pick up.
I definitely recommend it. I think it's fun seeing like new people just kind of get into it and just find their stride with it. Yeah. And luckily enough, there are like people who are like, yeah, they're higher up and they've already like done a lot in the game already. But like the community is super nice enough to like go back and just like help other people like get through it, because they've already done. They know how it is. They know the struggles of like having to rank up and everything like that. So it's really nice to see.
Because I know I'm not going to get into FF14. Sorry, man. But, I'm not going to get into an MMO that particular ship has sailed, and I don't have the time or attention span to keep up with an MMO. But for something like Monster Hunter, totally where it's a more distinct release, and that there is, even if not a end, that it's the type of thing that I can pick up, put down as I see fit, not to worry about a subscription and all that. That right now, to me as a player, is a much more appealing proposition.
Yeah, no, especially Final Fantasy's a big time sink. If you don't have like the time or energy for it, it's all right if you don't play it. It might be a wonderful game. It might be one of my favorite games of all time, and I like want people to play it. But if they don't have that kind of energy for it, it's best not to. It really is.
Now, the third in the sort of trifecta of fantasy series that you're really into is the Souls franchise. And obviously, Elden Ring has very much distinguished itself as a Game of the Year frontrunner, along with a small number of other ones. But when it comes to Souls, because obviously, like I said, it's still fantasy, but it's a very different type of fantasy from Monster Hunter or Final Fantasy. So, does your playstyle vary at all here, or is it still that you're generally going with the hit strong, whether it be the hit fast and strong with the samurai, or hit fast and a little bit slower with the hammer?
That I think it has depended mainly on the Souls games. Like for I think 1 and 3, I was definitely like a sword board. Like I was definitely just like making sure I did not get hit and then try to get my hits in where I could. Bloodborne, I was just it's fast paced. I get up in there and I swing in, try to get out, and then go back in again. Elden Ring for sure. I was just a heavy hitter. I just berserk sword all the way through it, except for like the lighter end when I actually had the sword as well as the berserk sword, and it worked out. My playstyle just changes throughout it all.
Is there a particular aspect of the game that really draws you in, that some folks are really brought in by the story and they just love the lore? Others just love the grindy challenge of iterating and trying to beat a boss and then eventually, getting a little bit better, and finally being able to overcome that mountain. Others just love the exploration and seeing these vast worlds and, all right, I'll slice down anything my way and I'm going to beat the bosses along the way, but that they really just savor the environments. Is there anything for you in that genre that really brings you in?
Oh man, I think honestly, altogether, it's just a collective culmination of everything. Honestly,
All the above. That's valid. That's fine.
All the above. I mainly, of course, I love like bashing my head against a boss and like trying to get there. Like I will spend hours, and I have spent hours on a single boss on stream for sure. And I never falter. I just never get like super frustrated or mad about it because it's just a fun game. But like going through all the worlds that the Miyazaki and the gang have like made, it's just like you just kind of look around and like go, wow, this world, the lore and everything like that. Maybe I don't understand everything fully. I haven't read every item description, but like it's such an awe-inspiring like series to see every world just like have their own like piece and like details and set pieces and everything like that. Just go like these guys are masters at their crafts, and it's super awesome.
Yeah, then I feel like unfortunately our gaming tastes don't super overlap that for me. I'm really into platformers. Pokemon is one of my favorite ones. I like puzzle games, so I also sadly can't share a ton of experiences when it comes to Souls games, but
That's fair.
It's a type of game that I have come to enjoy watching very much, even if I'm not someone who likes to play, because I've played once or twice many years ago and was like, I do not enjoy bashing my head against a boss multiple times. It's just not my style, but watching someone, it's a very different experience, and I do enjoy that. And you, like you mentioned, are more of a, for lack of a better term, Zen boss grinder that one of my previous guests, Kieran, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, she's a Red Panda VTuber, that she loves grindy, difficult games, and she approaches them with such poise and just such calm. And it's, all right, this was attempt number 47, death number 1166, and just, okay, we got a little bit close that time. Let's try again. Of just, no anger, that you're just, going with the flow, and that some folks rage, and sometimes the rage is a little bit of a show for the audience of, all right, they might not actually be getting that mad, but it gets the chat going, so you play it up a bit, and that's totally good. But others just say, all right, we're going to have a chill stream, even if the stuff that's going on screen is not chill at all.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love knowing that other people are just like kind of similar in that way, just like super at peace, just kind of having a fun time with it, even if they're just like not progressing whatsoever.
Also, Venus Dawn MTK, welcome in.
Hi, Venus.
Yeah, it was the type of thing that the times that I played, it was just it wasn't even that it was rage-inducing. It just wasn't fun for me. It just wasn't my type of game, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Like I said, it's the type of thing that watching it streamed is something that I very much enjoy. That it's very interesting for me, the sort of difference of game consumption in the era of streaming, because streaming a game, watching a game be streamed, and playing a game on your own when you're not streaming a game are three very different experiences.
Yes, that is for sure.
Are there any games that you have particularly avoided playing on stream because you're like, all right, I want to have this one just to myself. These are the games that I play to just super relax, and I don't want to have to worry about keeping up with chat or whatever while I play this game, and that this one's going to be for me.
That used to be Final Fantasy, but because of the people I've been playing with, I've just been super comfortable with it. I just play on a character that no one knows who I am on and everything like that, except for like VTubing wise. So I don't dox myself.
I guess that's actually sort of a fourth experience, because streaming a game solo is a very different experience from streaming a game in a group.
Yes, that is also one. Let's see, I'm trying to think of, I guess like stuff that I haven't played on stream. I did it once before, but usually I do like the chill times by myself, like playing Elite Dangerous, just kind of like do nothing. I'm not like a pirate in that game or anything like that. I just kind of, I'm a courier. I just trade things and do like that kind of stuff. Like I just go around system to system, like selling maps and everything like that. It's just chill times. I usually do that just by myself though.
Yeah, the non-combat route.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, since I don't actually stream any games here on this channel, everything is ones that I just play on my own. But for me, I guess if I were to stream that, if I were to ever stream, I would probably stream potentially some Pokemon, maybe some puzzle games, but I'd probably keep either some platformer ones or ones that are a bit more active engagement to myself, that I don't know, I would have to work up the confidence and the skill, frankly, to be able to play a real-time game as opposed to a turn-based game while streaming that day. That's one thing I respect streamers who actually, play games on their streams, not just talk like me, that being able to play a game as challenging as a Souls game, that, it's so skill intensive, requires such focus, but then for someone to, on top of that, it's kind of like being in marching band of, a musician who is standing still or sitting down is already an impressive feat. Someone that can play their instrument well, but then playing an instrument well while walking in a exact formation in time with others, and just adding in those different layers of complexity, in that, the act of walking is very simple. The act of talking is very simple. The act of playing an instrument isn't simple to begin with, but even layering simple things on top of each other like that become exponential so quickly. And goodness knows that's the case with streaming.
Yeah, there's a same thing with it. There's combinations of combinations for each thing that just kind of like go. How are you doing this while also streaming, or like how are you doing this while also like playing a trombone or something like that, like while doing all this? It's crazy to see all the dedication and skill go hand in hand with the other things that you're doing at the same time.
And the secret to it all is the same: practice and iteration of just, you get used to it eventually, and that, at first it's gonna be real rough, but you start to acclimate to it, and it's not even something that's necessarily conscious. It's just that you realize, oh, I've gotten a lot better at this. I don't, fumble around nearly as much as I used to, or I'm a lot better at interacting with chat than I used to be, or just that sort of over time subtle adjustment, and then you blink and a year's passing, like, oh, I guess I kind of know what I'm doing.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Crazy to think about that.
It's been a crazy year, 2 years for VTubers as a whole. Rewind the clock 3 years, and VTubers were a thing, but VTubers were not, I would say, necessarily publicly accessible. That if you were part of a bigger corporation, you might be able to get access to it. But, we hadn't hit the era of VTube Studio or Vroid and, the really publicly accessible types of models that we obviously have had streaming for going on a full decade now. But that VTubing in particular has come so far in such a short time. It's one of the things that, with all my guests, that we sort of, we're, even now, it feels like the VTuber scene has started to somewhat calm down, because goodness knows, late 2020 and the first half, 2/3 of 2021 was just this huge VTuber boom. But I would argue that even now, we're still in the Wild West. That it feels like it's gotten a bit more stable and a bit more predictable because we've gone through what is probably legitimately the most just off-the-wall crazy time between growth and rapid developments in technology. But I think that 3 years from now, we're going to look back at right now, June 22, and say, no, we were still in the Wild West, that there's still so much changing. VTube Studio just had a big new update this past week.
Yes.
And that there's still stuff happening at such a fast rate. And it's fascinating for me as a show host like this to just see, because I'm not interacting with this technology on a personal level, but I see the changes as they happen, and I notice how different people interact with them, and it's such a cool thing to see. Are there any pieces of technology for you that either you have incorporated recently that have made a big difference for you, or ones that you're like, I hope somebody makes a thing that does this because I want this part of VTubing to become smoother or to innovate in this way?
Oh man, I'm still like trying to learn everything myself. Like Live 2D and VTube Studio is still way too fresh for me to like even begin like, oh, they need to do something like updates to like this kind of thing or anything like that. I was gonna try VBridger for the Senpai model. Did not have enough time to like even look into how to make everything work with the application and then like doing it in Live 2D to VTube Studio. And I think I want to tackle that down first, but like it's so cool to see like the changes and progression in such a short time. I can't wait to like see what else comes out like this year alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the most that I really interact with is Fui's reactive images.
Yes.
That I've used that in different streams, and I've even started using it outside of Vtuber Talk when hang out with friends. That I have a couple friends that do streaming, and that I'll occasionally appear on their channels. And that I'm like, hey, have you all heard of this thing, reactive images? Some of them have, most of them haven't. So I get to be the cool person saying like, hey, here's this really useful, easy piece of technology. Where'd you learn about it? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah, you get to introduce them to that kind of stuff, and it's just like a piece of the VTuber community just kind of trickles out elsewhere.
Yeah, because that's such a generic tool and a generically useful tool that I think honestly that is one of the single best inventions for streaming of the past 5 years. That in terms of like the degree to which it makes a difference, it doesn't seem like something that's huge. But honestly, just the simplicity of, okay, that by simply joining a Discord call that you can have your image go up and that you can tell when someone is talking in a big group collab. It doesn't matter if you're a VTuber or not, that, everyone has their icon and that it can have the names and that it shows up, as opposed to, having to put in individual assets or, just having these disembodied voices that nobody can actually necessarily align to different people or usernames, and that the host has say, by the way, everyone, the person you heard talking just now was so-and-so and the other one was so-and-so, that it's now just unspoken. You see at the bottom of the screen all the different icons and they pop when they're talking, and the unspoken just seamlessness of it all and the comprehension that it provides for the viewer is, I think, so much more powerful than people realize. That it's just a really great tool.
It really is. It adds a lot more of just association with people. Like you get to see, instead of just nothing, or you get to see one person's like face cam or something like that, or just one person's like VTubing model. Now you get to see who they're talking to, who's chatting right now, and even if it's just simple, like it lights up or it just jumps up, it's better than nothing or a still image.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're starting to actually get ones where you can share multiple models. That for my anniversary stream that I just used Video Ninja and had different people jump in, and it chugged a little bit, and the way that the different screens automatically align themselves wasn't always super logical that sometimes we had 3 folks and there was like 2 on top of each other and then one larger one on the side. But I know
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
Studio is working on the ability for folks to more or less have a room where you can get
Yeah.
in models and actually have them side by side in a much simpler way, or the more manual way to do it right now with Video Ninja is just multiple iterations, multiple
Yeah, different
sources.
browsers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a thing about that, like the VTuber collab room. That is like such an innovative thing. I can't wait until that's more like finalized and touched up on, because that would just
hmm
save much more hassle.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One thing that you're really known for that honestly we haven't actually mentioned at all yet is your art. That in addition to being a musical artist, you are also a visual artist. So
That is
I'm gonna
correct.
move us over that you've actually shared, I think it was 10 different pieces with me. So I'm really excited to sort of talk about these different ones and investigate. Oh, the transition actually worked today. I'm so happy. It's the little things, man.
Yeah, let's
The
go.
smooth
Love to see
transition
it.
sometimes works. So here we have, a little bit of a melancholy one as of a month ago or so that Randon, member of Fantasy Inc., who actually did graduate recently, he's still
Yes.
around. He's still active on his Discord. That just life for him got busy. So don't worry, Randon is fine. He is safe. He is
He's
healthy
good.
and okay. He's just not really streaming much nowadays.
That's correct. Yeah, oh my goodness. This was, I think, the second piece I've drawn since last year. I think it was probably the next one I put on here is Junks. This was the piece right after, because after I found Junk, I found Randon, and then I was just watching those two so inspired to continue on art and then be a better like VTuber and streamer. So I mean, it's so wild to experience what's happened recently with him retiring and everything like that. And at that point, when I drew this piece, I had not drawn in about like a couple of years since I
Oh,
started.
cool. So this actually just lined up really nicely. I did not know that this
Yeah,
was one of the first pieces that you had done, since coming back to art. I just chose this one randomly.
yeah. Junks and his were the first two I drew. I think when I started like doing YouTube back on October 2020, I drew myself and then like a thumbnail or two, and that was it. I hadn't drawn since then until these two pieces, and it's just like it inspired me to like keep going.
Mhm.
I just man, I'm so happy with these pieces, how they turned out. I
And
still love them
this
to
one,
this day.
it could strike one as simple, but honestly, you did a really good job on this with just there's a lot of different shading and colors that, Randon's skin is not a flat green all over, that you have the different shades. Even for the tuft of sort of magenta hair that you have the
Yeah.
slight ones, the tie as well, that you have the detail work here, even though his design, at least in VTuber terms, Randon has one of the simpler designs. I won't call it completely simple, but I will say,
Right.
there are some complex designs out there.
Oh yeah, sure. There's a lot of busy designs out there. Really good ones, but sometimes busy. That's for sure.
Yeah, Randon's has always been one of those very streamlined, very sleek designs.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
I also very much like your signature that you have the GGG, which appears on your shirt as well, and that is actually
Yes.
the signature that you use on all of your pieces. So this is something that we will continue to see as we go through all the different ones. The
Yes.
other thing that occurs to me looking at this, which I probably should have realized, but the background that you're using right now, the orange and blue one, did you draw that? Is that your own
Yes.
work? Okay.
Yeah, everything here is all made by me with like different textured pens and everything like that. Same with that one was I think that was a spray brush of some sort. I can't remember which one though.
Yeah, because the background here has the different shades of pink and has sort of these wavy lines, and just sort of seeing it side by side with the blue and orange one, I was like, oh wait a minute, of course Gary made his own background. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very nice one, and like I said, Randon is still around. He is a-okay, just
Yes.
busy with stuff, but he even pops in on Twitter every now and again. We love Randon. Made
do.
really
Absolutely.
good content. Hope to see him come back in some capacity, whether it be streaming or, just even the occasional video that he was very, very good at what he does, and I'm sure he's kicking ass at whatever is occupying his time nowadays. But since you mentioned Junk, we might as well bring that one up. And Junk is another past guest of mine that is just fantastic. Junk Wave is the way that he describes it, and honestly, I don't know if there's a better term. That it's something between synthwave and going even farther than that. But Junk is a guy that really has a style and a personality all his own.
Yeah, what a unique fellow that I've come to adore and like gotten to like get a little bit closer to. It's absolutely love. If there's anything to describe Junk, it's personality, and he's got an abundance of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for this one, that we have the background that you have the style sort of backgrounds that you don't let them be just flat colors. This is very different from the one from Random, which is different from the one that you're using right now. That Random's a bit wavier, yours has the jagged lines, and this is a bit more consistent, but that you always add texture, and you even went as far as to add sort of the shadow, for lack of a better term here, of the pink behind Junk.
Yeah, just give it a little, like, what's the word? Like, a little pop to it. I'm not really good, unfortunately, at background, so I have to, like, overachieve with it with, like, a lot of, like, texture, I guess.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And Junk's a great guy, and you got the finger guns, of course. That he is. There are not enough finger guns on Twitch. That
No.
anytime I see that incorporated to a model, I just smile. That I know Junk, Vivi. I'm trying to think. There's only a couple that I know offhand, but it's very fun, and I do appreciate that you included it here.
Heck yeah, I had to.
Were there any parts of this that were particularly challenging, or that similar to Randon's, that this is a more, like I said, I never want to call a design simple, because I feel like that underserves it. But I would say, a streamlined one, that you have the pinstripes, you have the tie. There aren't, there's a couple of accessories. But was there any particularly challenging aspect of this one?
I think for this one, I thought it would have been the hands, honestly, because at that point, I hadn't drawn again, like, in, 2 years, something like that.
And you have the depth here, because the hands are, the Junk's left is closer than his right.
Yeah, I think that might have been the hardest part about it, was getting the depth right and the perspective right. But, like, everything else about it was really, like, fluid and came out really easy. Like, I was never good at drawing hands or anything like that, but this piece was like, wait a minute. I could draw hands now.
I talked about, just improvement over time, and that you blink and you suddenly realize, oh, wait, I can do this.
Yeah, it's insane to think about.
I'm not sure if she's still around, but if she is, we have Minerva.
Yeah, this one is...
And I hope it reads well, that the contrast that I have might not be enough to see it clearly. But, we have, obviously, the bright blue min in the foreground, well, two of them, but then you have the big, darker one in the background, just sort of, ominously dwelling over the other two. But I like that you got the triple min here, just, the crazy small one, the standard cool one, and then the big buff min looming over all.
Yeah, this was a piece for Minerva's birthday a little while back, and I had such a fun time. This is probably my favorite piece I've done so far, because of just like how quick I got it done, which was within a 8-hour period, I think.
Oh, wow.
Usually I draw pretty slow. I'm not very fast at drawing, but ever since VTubing, my speed has just been like increasing over time, and I've just been happy with
practice,
that.
man. That's what happens when you find that you actually, start practicing. That's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of folks who got into VTubing and streaming, that it has not only gotten them back into art or other hobbies, but that since one of the things that most people do when they are trying to grow as a streamer is set a schedule and be very regular with your content, and that's sort of the self-imposed push to do that ends up getting people not only into these things, but that they excel farther faster than they initially anticipate, because they're actually creating the schedule and actually using these skills and honing these skills with regularity.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's not even to see with myself, but other people who have like that similar, like, not issue, but we'll just say issue for like the lack of better terms. It's so nice to see like them find their stride with, art and VTubing and everything like that. I'm happy with myself, of course, with that too. Like, this is definitely my favorite piece of all time. Just having like essentially a group picture, a really good background, good posing, good shading. I'm not good at colors or shades, but I was like, look at this one. I'm like, yeah, I did this one. Felt good.
It is a fun one for sure. This next one is somebody that I'm not actually familiar with. The file name said Many, and we have Cult of Many. So is that just their name, or?
Yeah, Cult of Many is their channel name, and Many is her name that she goes by. This is my best friend. She debuted her original model back in October last year, and I had spent a good couple hours late into the night helping her with like her debut, but also like drawing this behind her back essentially. So I had to do it for her birthday, and I was very happy with the posing and everything.
Yeah, and this one has a couple is a bit more complex. That you have obviously 2 different types of horns, 2 different colored eyes, 2 very different hands, one of which is just a coil of snakes.
Yes, she has snakes for one of her arms. It's a wonderful, complex design, sure, but like it's such a like it's challenging enough to be like, yes, I look forward to finishing a piece with her.
Yeah, it's complex but cohesive. That you can tell that, all right, Many one very much fits in with the thing here. That I assume that this is why am I blanking on the name of creature? Crud. Poof! I had the term of what you do when you combine multiple creatures.
Like an aberration.
Aberration? No. The term is used a fair bit. Chimera.
Chimera. Oh, that's a good one too. Many is a Yuan-Ti kobold. They look a little bit different for like normal kobolds and everything, like through options and choice. But Chimera is a good way to like kind of shape different like animals and stuff together. Definitely, I think fits.
Yeah. We also have the tail there that I'm gonna have to check out. Cult of Many. That like I said, this was one of the few that there's a bunch we're still gonna go through. That a couple more past guests of mine, and a couple folks that I just know from around the VTuber community. But that's one of the things of the community is very big, but also very small, and it grows every single day. And that it's certainly one of the things that I'm never worried about for the show, is that I will never run out of people to talk to. It's all just about, okay, like me being able to find the time to find the people and be able to familiarize myself with their content, because I could just throw out willy-nilly as many invites as I want, and I could have a show probably 3-4 nights a week and not run out. And even with that frequency, it'd be fine. But that I try and be a bit more curated and a bit more personalized with my interactions. So I don't want to ramp it up that much, but it's the type of thing that I know that so long as I'm able to put in the time and effort for it, that I'm not going to run out of folks.
No, yeah, you have a wonderful overabundance of people to go through, for sure.
Most certainly. Let's see here. So this one, it said Gary Affleck, and I assume that this is a Ben Affleck thing. And I feel like there's a reference I should be getting that as soon as you say it, I'm probably going to be like, oh, of course. But I'm not getting the reference right now.
Yeah, it's both of these pictures are actually of Ben Affleck with like a cigarette, just like kind of done with everything right now. It's-
Is this
I
based
had
on like a photo that circulated on Twitter? Was it from a movie?
It's basically just like a meme picture that Google, Twitter, Tumblr, like everyone kind of used, where he had like
Mm,
one he was over a balcony with a cigarette, and the other one he just was just outside of a door, just like fed up looking.
okay. So these were sort of a couple of paparazzi pics of, everyone
Yeah.
has days where they're tired. And,
Yes.
this is not him necessarily being disgusted or exhausted with anybody or anything in particular, but, you know, if you're out on your balcony, you might be morning, you might have just woken up, you might be tired, or just,
Knows.
you walk out of a door and you had a long day, and then you see paparazzi on outside, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. It's just like what's the word? Candid, I think photos
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah.
Just out of the blue happens naturally kind of
Mm.
thing. And I think those for sure are a couple of those.
So, are you a big fan of Ben Affleck, or did you just really like the pose and the facial expressions here?
I loved actually as a kid Daredevil, but mainly for this one here, it was just like a thing that came to mind. Was, oh yeah, these pictures are something I could draw on top of and use as a meme, basically. I've done a couple of funny little meme pictures, and I think I had another one set up in there somewhere.
I do like the soda you have, which I assume that was
Ah yes,
probably a beer in the original photo, and you mentioned that it was a cigarette, but you've changed it to a lollipop. We're gonna talk about One Piece later, but was that transition
ah
because of One Piece, or
yes, it was definitely a 4 kids dub
classic?
Sanji bit there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. But these are good. These are very fun, and just that uh, adding in the extra detail to the facial expression, because your face design is on the simpler side. That you have your
Yes.
big black eyes, you have your big eyebrows, but that you added the detail here for the lips, and just that little bit really steps it up in terms of a it's not uncanny valley, but you can tell this is not your normal style. That this was
Yeah.
adjusted, but I think it works very nicely here.
I'm glad. I'm glad it kind of come across that way too, because that was definitely like a stylistic choice. I was like, I could keep it similar to how I normally look, but I think it had more impact this way.
Yeah, having just the slight adaptation here. Let's see, this one I just marked. It said crying. Okay,
There it is.
now 2 pieces here. One,
Yes.
this is another thing of this is obviously a reference that I'm not getting, and that it's you adding that detail to the facial expression that it goes beyond what you normally have on the model, but also the Shutterstock overlay.
Yes.
Shutterstock.
Yeah, Shutterstock was another one of those. It was a picture of a kid for like there's like this Shutterstock stuff that you can get off of like Google and whatnot, where
Mhm.
he has a gun.
Oh my god.
He has a gun pointing at the camera, and one where he has it kind of like tilted down. He's just sobbing like he's about to end something.
Oh my
I hate to do this, but I have to. And in
I
tandem
feel
with
like
the
I
other
need to
piece,
look up the original to this, because I saw this
you
when I was
should.
preparing to, import everything into OBS, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but this just reads like something that has, a proper meme behind it.
It really does. It's beautiful, beautiful storytelling in 2 pieces. Honestly,
The Baconeer says the unfortunate bonkening.
yes. Yeah, in tandem with the Ben Affleck one as well, I had named this as a Twitter post when a Say So VTuber has unsay so friends. Because for those who don't know, I'm a Say So VTuber. I'm very friendly, like PG-16 kind of like feel.
Mhm.
But I have like an abundance of like 18 plus streamers and everything like that, and I love them to death. But at the time, it was just like yes, mature streamers are all over the place, and here I am, like very few of Say So streams. It feels like, and I just like this was funny. I might not post it.
So did you find the Shutterstock watermark image somewhere, or did you recreate it yourself?
I think I took a PNG of it and just kind of like implemented with the lines afterwards to kind of give it that feel.
Yeah. Well, it's only a matter of time now, folks. Gary, got to start getting your images actually submitted to Shutterstock.
Oh yes, they're for sure.
Let's see here. Who next? Let's go with another name that we are all very familiar with, and the guy actually just had a celebration of his own recently. It's Cab.
Yes, Cabby Wabby. Good old Cab. Another
Cab
member of
himself,
Fancy.
that his 1 year streaming anniversary was on Thursday, if memory serves. That
Yeah,
he had
just
obviously
last
done some YouTube stuff a little prior to starting stream on Twitch, but that this was his 1 year stream anniversary.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that both Cab and I were just starting stream in around the same time frame, like what, a week's time frame essentially.
Yeah, that it's been really interesting to see, because there were a couple other folks that it's just been a busy week for either anniversaries, celebrations, birthdays, and
All
other things.
sorts.
It felt like there were a lot of celebrations going on this week, and it was very fun. Didn't get to tune into nearly as many as I wanted to, but
I
was
totally
able
get that.
to at least pop in for a couple minutes for Cabs, and all the craziness therein that
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
As it happens, chaos ensues over there.
Absolutely. And memory serves, he is another member of Fantasy Inc., I believe.
Yes, he is. He's one of the first generation of people, including like Kimrai, Bopi, Honey Goblin, and like Mango. Good group right there, honestly.
And out of curiosity, what was your introduction to all of them? Because I'm obviously very aware of Fantasy Inc. as a group, and I'm very familiar with a lot of the members. In terms of VTuber groups, I found that Fantasy Inc. is sort of one of the quieter ones when it comes to the group branding, that there is a Twitter account, and that the folks do collab, but it's not trying to find the right phrase here. I suppose that I don't recall seeing a call for Gen 2 of Fantasy Inc. So it's entirely possible that I just missed that. But if not, what was your introduction to the group? How did this all come about for you?
Let's see. I had known Honey for like a good while. Actually, the first day I started streaming is when I met Honey, and I won't go into that story because I've talked about that story enough. But I met Honey my first day of streaming, and then eventually got to be like friends with her, and then through her I met like Demon Queen Vivi, and I met like Red Claw Draws, and I knew, of course, like knew Kim right before I started streaming, just like in passing, I guess. And when I saw that there was the call for a second group come in.
Okay, so there was a call, and I just missed that.
Yeah, it was a while. I think it was in August. I think it was when they actually made a post of like, "Hey, we're doing applications and stuff like that." And I was just like, "Well, I might as well." I mean, they already have a goblin. I'll understand if they don't add goblins anymore afterwards. But I put it in there, and then it was kind of a radio silent for a hot minute, and then they announced that they had people in line for joining, and they were going to get to people a little bit afterwards. A little bit more silence, because everyone just like has like their lives and everything like that, and I won't go, I guess, more into that.
People are busy. Very few
people are busy.
VTubers there's a chunk of VTubers that do this full time. They are not the majority.
Exactly. No, it does happen like that. If it, things happen, you bide your time and just be patient, stuff like that. If it happens, it happens. If not, it is what it is. But yeah, that's how essentially I came to know everyone. I didn't know about Cab at all until I met Minerva through passing that way, because Cab is a mod over there, and I was like, wait a minute, that name sounds familiar, and I was like, oh. They're also in Fantasy Inc. Okay.
And I think I first got introduced to Cab because I saw the breakdown he did of Off Their Heads, and then like within a week or two, I realized that he was also friends with Jusagi Alien Booster of what is now Isekai Inc., what formerly was the JCC, the Jusagi Consultation Corporation, and then through Cab, I met Min. So I guess in some ways, tracing things back, that if we, I'm pretty sure that you were correct, that we became aware of each other via Min. So then by proxy, going one step farther, this stream is Cab's fault.
You know what? I could do that. I could blame Cab for that. Out of love and respect, of course.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. You mentioned Honey, so might as well bring Honey's art up. And
Yes.
you mentioned, like you said, that you are not the first goblin of Fantasy Inc., but I'm actually not super familiar with Honey's content, that I've seen her around. If I've tuned into one of her streams, it's only been one or two, and I feel like I need to make a point to see her stuff more.
Yeah, if there's anyone I could recommend for, like, just good, comfy vibes and just, like, informative art and everything like that, I would definitely recommend watch Honey for sure, because she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Sweet as honey, one might say.
Yes, as sweet as honey.
And I'm guessing this was for a birthday, judging by the cake in her hand.
I honestly can't remember if it was for a birthday piece. No, actually, because her birthday was just recently. I think maybe she hit like a celebration. I honestly can't remember, or it just was like, oh, cake looks good for this piece, and I just probably did that instead.
Hey, who doesn't love cake?
Right? Cake is pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. And this one that you have sort of the simpler background, but you always add that texture. You have little swoopies around here.
Yeah.
That just a very nice, cohesive piece.
Yeah, this is, I think, probably my fourth piece I drew last year after like Junket Branded, and I'm just super happy with how this came out too. Like, especially like the flow and posing. I hadn't really done anything like that before, and I was just like, oh, I like this. I can do dynamic poses now, I guess. Again, with the practice and everything that we talked about, it just is really nice to see.
So if you remember that this was the fourth piece you did last year, do you remember the total number of pieces you did last year?
Ooh, let's see. Outside of doing like the models and everything like that, I think I've done around 20 pieces, including like fan art and then like gift art or whatever like that.
Now, is that for last year or total ever?
I think within the last year it was.
And how many have you done so far this year?
That's a good question, actually. I don't think I've drawn too many pieces. I've just finished up kind of one person's commission, sort of for like a 2K celebration, because I always draw someone for my 1Ks. So this is the second piece I've drawn. I think outside of community doodles, I've only done maybe 5 pieces.
Okay, so a little bit less than last year, but obviously we still have
Still time.
a little bit more than half the year left, so plenty of time for sure. Let's see, which one next? Let's go with this one that we have the ever wonderful Taka.
Ah, yes, this is the one of the 5 pieces that I've drawn here. Yeah, Taka had raided in what was that, like a month or two ago, and Taka is one of the reasons I started doing content creation, including Game Grumps and Markiplier.
Wow.
Way long ago. When I first we were doing me and my friends, we were like, Dragon Ball Z Bridge just came out. Why don't we do something for we were gonna try Yu Yu Hakusho because I don't think anyone at that time had anything like that. But we quickly realized how hard doing a bridge series are.
Yeah. My goodness.
Man, you think it's easy peasy? No. It's hard. So we quickly gave up that and decided to do Let's Plays instead. Way long ago on YouTube.
I actually did a bridge series, quote unquote, for a school project.
Ooh.
So
I love that.
in 12th grade, so senior year of high school, one of the things that was a regular at my school for folks who were in AP literature was that
Ooh.
there was the Macbeth film project. And it was just one of the things that in the last 1 or 2 quarters of the year that, Macbeth was one of the AP literature pieces that was covered, and that it had just become sort of a tradition that the teachers would assign all of the students who were in those classes to do a film project based on Macbeth, and that it was open season. People could do whatever they wanted. And the end products were exactly what you would expect from seniors in high school doing a film project to be. That it was mediocre quality at best. I'm going to date myself a little bit that this would have been 2010. Yep.
Yeah.
But so it was something that I knew was coming. It was something that everybody knew was coming. And when I got the group together, I said, I'm in the theater club. I enjoy acting. Don't get me wrong. I like putting on a show. But at the same time, I don't want to have to worry about trying to make costumes or having to find a place to film and acting, awkward and weird in public. Because it's one thing when you're doing like a good show that's written well and, you're on a stage.
Yeah.
But, when you're doing a home movie style project on Macbeth, it was like, I just don't want to do that. So I pitched them. I said, what if we did, this was the heyday really of a bridge series.
Oh yeah.
I said,
Oh yeah.
everybody knows that The Lion King is just Macbeth. What if we did The Lion King abridged?
Oh my god.
So
Yes.
they
I
took the
love
idea. So, the whole concept I pitched was, we don't need to worry about filming anything. We don't need to worry about costumes. We don't need to worry about props. All we need to do is have a copy of The Lion King, get it on someone's hard drive, and just, we edit a video together and do voiceover. And we don't need to put in any special effects or anything. That it becomes a very easy, frankly, video project that we streamlined it. And I would say probably did, in terms of time, less work than the average folks for the rest of the films in terms of what they had to do for prep work, finding a place to film, actually doing a bunch of different takes. That for us, it was just, we had to write, all right, what are we going to do in these scenes? But everyone had to write something in some way. And then it was just, all right, find the scenes in The Lion King that parallel whatever scene we're trying to do for Macbeth, take out the audio, put over our own, and that was it.
Yep.
And we did The Lion King abridged, and I think we got a B+ on it, and that was good enough for me.
Hell yeah. That is beautiful. I love that so much.
And obviously, Taka, very well known for DBZ abridged. You mentioned that was a big inspiration for you, and that you you found out that our video for that project wound up being, I think it was like 7-10ish minutes, and that was a one-time thing. We're not trying to do a full series. I absolutely know how much work goes into something like that. If you were going to try and do it continuously and be able to do that, that for a one-off short film thing, that we determined that it was slightly less work than doing a live action, and certainly less awkward. That because all the videos got shown in class, obviously, and I thought that ours was one of the best received because it didn't have the awkwardness of the weird non-existent production values that everyone else had to deal with. That ours just, it looked good because The Lion King looks good, and we didn't need to worry about it.
Love that. It's working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Yeah, Taka's a great guy. And I didn't actually know that he was one of your inspirations, so that's even cooler to sort of see that connection there, that I know that he has certainly influenced a lot of people over the years, that you are very much not alone in that.
Yeah, it's so wild because I didn't even know when I first started VTubing, I didn't even realize he was doing VTubing. I didn't either. Kind of a break for a while, like a hot minute from like everything from YouTube and all that good stuff. Which, to be fair, totally understand because that stuff is tiring after a while.
Yeah, I remember when I found him, because I found him pretty quickly when I started looking into independent VTubers on Twitch, And my founder's like, okay, this guy obviously has a following, has this thing in the bar. He's very adept at interacting with chat, has a good setup. And then it was a stream or two in that, I don't remember if he mentioned it or someone in chat mentioned it, that the dots were connected. Oh, he worked with Team 4-Star. Okay, that's why he's so adept at showmanship and editing and
all that
just
stuff.
putting on a performance. Makes sense.
Yep, exactly.
And I guess similar to Rand in that just guys with a white shirt and tie. It's a simple look, but it's a clean look.
It could look really good if they have it like tailor made and it's always like suited to them. It's nice.
The pinstripes, very nice.
Very good style.
Let's see here. I think we only have one more left, and I've just marked it as group art because it's the one with you, Junk, and Rand, and so sort of actually bringing it back to the top of all the pieces we had here. But I also like that you snuck there on Randon's shoulder. I assume that is the sort of rainbow putty type of thing that we use very frequently on VTube Studio and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a little swoop, as you like to call them. Yeah, I was very happy with this one here. This is, I think, my 1 year piece because I started. I did YouTube first as Gary in 2020. And I think around that time is when I posted this, if I'm correct. And I was just like super thankful for like having those two as inspirations and as like basically like big brothers and teachers to like get me to be better. And I wanted to show my appreciation to those two some more because they've done a lot, honestly. They've been such a wonderful duo on the community, and I was super appreciative of them.
And I think, if memory serves, the way that I was actually introduced to the two of them was from Vivi, but it wasn't Demon Queen Vivi. It was Vividly Vivi.
Yeah, they know each other very, very well over there.
Yeah, that she raided into each of them on at least one occasion. I'm 100% positive that's how I met Junk because she raided in him on his debut, and. I either saw one of Random things on YouTube, but I'm 95% sure that I learned of Random via Vivi. So it's just sort of adding to that web of. I'm not sure if you've ever actually had a chance to meet Vividly Vivi yourself, but if you do,
no, not personally.
She's a gem. But it's the type of thing of it's fun seeing those sort of degrees of separation, and this person knows this person. And that there is still that sort of contiguous web of VTubers that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's so like interesting to see all of them. I haven't been able to catch their streams, but I do follow them. I've been seeing them around because of those two for sure.
Do you have any pieces that you're working on right now that you're able to talk about? That obviously, if there's secret commissions, don't say anything. But any pieces that you can comment on?
The one I did just recently, I've only had that one piece essentially kind of worked on for the past month. I've been kind of, whenever I would do their piece, it would be on stream. And whenever I talk on stream and I do stuff on stream, I get very, not distracted by chat, but I get invested with chat because I just love talking to people. It does a little bit distract me from what I'm doing with art, sure. And I don't draw more than like maybe a couple of lines on the stream for 5 hours or something like that.
I have seen many art streams suffer from that.
Yes, yeah, it's very common, and no one's like upset about it. No one, luckily enough, is like sad about it or anything like that. It's how it goes.
Yeah, I know. Like Cav will every so often, try and do an art stream, and might get a couple lines. Then we're gonna have a 20-minute conversation and rant.
Tangent.
Couple lines, couple lines, more talking. Yeah.
Yep. It is how it is, and I love it. That piece, it has been there for like a month, and I have only just finished line art and then colors. I am going to be doing some shading for them, but yeah, it's for for a follower, the 2,000 follower that I've gotten, and that's the only piece so far that I've been working on. Not like on the back burner or not like something super secret. I don't really have any pieces that are like super secret just yet. I have ideas in mind, but I have no like pen to paper just yet.
Are there any ideas that you are willing to talk about of just, I know I want to do this type of piece when I got the time? Don't know when it's going to be, but that you have this concept that sooner or later you're going to get to it.
Yes, it's gonna be a promotional piece. There was something I did last year, which was the corruption arc stream. For those, I guess, who don't know that one very well, was I think one of the more unique experiences on Twitch, where it was a interactive boss battle essentially with my person. I'm going to break my character here a little bit. I have a character that's the original goblin named Garrison, and he was transformed into a couple of pieces, which is me and then like Beast Garrison. So I had done a corruption arc stream for that. It was a fun interactive battle essentially with chat and and I want to improve more on that eventually. I have plenty of ideas on how I want to improve on that for like bigger and better streams.
I love gamification of streams.
It's so good. I was very happy of how it went and how it worked out, because Many was one of the people that was helping me with this. Actually, she was the only person that was helping me with this.
So how did that work? What was the functionality of it all?
Essentially, so basically, I'll break it down for the people who were there. Like, how did Gary do the stream? I had worked on a couple of things. Basically, it was a PNG of the character who would talk, and then it would switch over to a scene because he would get hit by chat with commands. I did not have like a bot or anything. Throwing system was not a thing back then. And the Twitch integrated throwing system, and I had switched it from scene to scene. The background was the same, the character was the same, and it would switch with a scene where it had an animation where he got hit with something or he got slashed, and it was whenever people would do it. And it was not like very on point or anything like that. It would just be like whenever I saw the commands go off, I would just kind of hit the switch scene button and everything like that. But people just loved it. And I was just like, I want to make that better for people.
So were they done via redeems, or, when people subscribed or cheered bits, or was this, anyone can do !/ and that it was a raw chat interaction?
It was basically the latter. I had tried to make it where it could be like if I got followed, or if I got like subs, or if I got like raids, that would do that thing. But I feel like at that point, I would just be spamming the switch scene button way too much, and it would kind of break. And it did kind of break here and there. But I do plan in the future to where it would be like raiders will come in, and that will do X amount of damage and stuff like that, with the viewers and everything like that. I have like tons of plans for that to make it even just more interactive and fun.
Yeah, I love seeing gamification of streams, and that there's infinite possibilities on how one can approach it. I know General Giga is really good at that she gamifies a lot of different parts of her streams, and just some of these things have gotten as simple as actually just being channel point redeems. That Twitch has actually enabled a lot of gamification in a lot of ways, that anything from polls and predictions, all those tools are gamification modules essentially. And it's just how you use them with your content, and being able to whether it's you or your mods, making sure that those polls get up or those predictions get up, or setting up the redeems, and then either adding in your own bells and whistles, or just finding those ways to make the experience that much more fun and interactive. And it's one of the things that, for all its faults, because oh boy does it have faults, but Twitch has done very well with setting up this sort of base level toolkit, and then also just allowing a pretty good array of plugins that can be added on top of that.
Yeah, it's luckily enough. Yeah, it sure has its faults here and there, but it does at least do that pretty properly.
Mm-hmm. Are there any gamification concepts that either exist and that you haven't gotten to use yet, or that you hope get developed or would like to see added so you can use them?
Anything that would basically help out with the ideas I have for the future, I would love to see, but I don't think currently are there. I can't really, unfortunately, go into them because I don't want to spoil the surprise.
That's fair.
definitely.
Awesome.
I feel like there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, that's the other piece of VTubing as a whole has come so far so fast. Twitch itself is obviously going to be a bit slower because it's a giant corporation,
Yeah, big
but
company.
I'm looking forward to see what they or YouTube end up rolling out, in the next half year to a year, because obviously the past 2 years in general for streaming content creation have been just massive explosions because people were inside for a while and had to do something.
Oh yeah.
And naturally, the features are going to lag behind the engagement because these things take time. So I feel like a lot of the payoff of the last couple of years of growth that we've started to see from Twitch and YouTube, but I think that some of the bulkier results, so to speak, of bigger things in terms of the development time and rollout, I think we're going to probably see in the next 6 to 12 months, and that that's going to be sort of that delay effect finally actually hitting.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm going to move us back to the main screen, but thank you so much for sharing all these pieces. That they were super fun to explore, talk about. Obviously, that all these ones were people that being able to share stories with the individuals or just the bits of the art was very fun. So I appreciate you sharing them with me.
Yeah, I'm glad to. I'm very, very happy to have the opportunity to show off art.
Does it work? Yes, it does. Yes.
Nice.
I can't tell. Like, next time I try it, the transitions won't work that well. But for today, just
At least
today,
it works.
Yes, indeed.
Let's go.
So, might as well go there since I mentioned it a bit in passing with the Gary Affleck pieces, the lollipops because of Sanji in One Piece, and that you are a big One Piece fan. It's something that has come up on previous streams of mine. I'm a big anime buff. One Piece is one of those things. It is too much for me. I cannot dedicate the time to 1,000 episodes, and I know I'm missing out, but that you are someone that even if you haven't caught up with all 1,000 odd episodes, that you have gotten very, very far into the series and plan to eventually get caught up, and that it is one for you, like many others, that has come to hold a significant place in your heart.
Absolutely. Oda Sensei is just a great artist and a storyteller. Like, I loved One Piece very, very much ever since my first manga of Shonen Jump way back in the day that I got to read it. And I was just like, I fell in love immediately with the characters. And I haven't read like the manga since then, since I was a little goblin. But I've been trying to keep up with the anime. I stopped currently in Dressrosa because I like listening to dubbed, because I usually like to draw when I like watch stuff, because I have ADHD brain go burr, have to multitask. It's kind of like a thing. So I haven't caught up because of that, but I know they've added more episodes to like Dressrosa and everything like that, so I need to catch up. But it's so wild to see like years, decades of just like
the development of it all is staggering.
Yeah.
That's the thing of just that over these 1,000 episodes, that as will happen in shonen anime, that you recycle a not insignificant amount of screen time every episode. That I would say probably, if it's a 23-minute episode, that 19 to 20 minutes of each episode is actually the new stuff, and that they buy themselves a bit of padding by rehashing the last bits of the previous episode, the beginning. But still, that there's so much content, there's so many characters, so much lore and world building, and that from what I gather as an outsider to this series, essentially, is that really is the hook. That at the end of the day, there is action, there is comedy, and that's all well and good, but it is the characters in the world that keep people truly engrossed.
Absolutely. One Piece definitely has that kind of allure to it, especially with like Oda loves like bringing up like old characters that were there like in the beginning, and then giving them like different like updates and everything like that, or like more story, and it's just like it's so cool.
Because it makes it feel alive, because people change, and that folks that you diverge from at one point in your life can come back in other points in your life, and they will have changes. That one of the big things that I've heard people saying about the past 2 years and returning to events and conventions is that we are returning from our own time skip arc. That starting to finally go back to conventions, see folks that you might not have seen in person for 2 years, and just hey, you have a beard now, or wow, you're taller than last time.
Yeah, right. It's definitely a great way to put that. We've gone through our own time skip.
Also, Sock Dudums, thank you for the follow.
Sock, I see a molded eye there. Welcome.
It's only Gary. Also,
It's
Moldred,
me.
good to see you.
Goodness.
For One Piece, do you have any either favorite characters or environments, or just pieces of world building? Then there are so many different parts to it all.
Oh man.
Obviously, Luffy is the main character, but there's so many people and so many different parts of it that are there any that really stick out to you that every time they're on screen it's like, hell yeah, like that's my guy, that's my girl.
Let's see. Definitely Frankie is like my favorite character because of how just ridiculous he is and everything like that. And from like where he was before as such a unique and odd character to the time skip of being this big Frankenstein robotic man, and just having his personality didn't really change that much, and it's kind of like really nice to see that. Love seeing him whenever he gets on. I think I love Luffy for sure. Like definitely as a main character, I think he's one of the most fun protagonists out there, and the growth that he's done, not only just like power and skill, but like as a character for sure. Yeah, he's a goofball, but he's definitely like grown more as like a captain and everything like that.
Yeah,
too.
that even I, as someone who has I watched some of the original 4Kids dub way back would have probably been like 2001, 2-ish. And I think I saw a little bit of the Funimation dub when it came out, but I just wasn't able to keep up with it, and it went off broadcast for a while. So I didn't watch as much, on DVDs or streams back then. That's really how I missed that literal and proverbial ship. But even I can tell that Monkey D. Luffy has gone from this very silly comedic character, and while Luffy still has his lighthearted joyfulness, that he hasn't been completely broken and is now super gritty and grizzled, but that Luffy has an undeniable progression of maturity and has been able to grow from what at the beginning could have risked being a one-note character.
Yeah, definitely. It could have happened that way. That's a lot of like kind of shonen
it's just how it goes. That they're the protag, and that sometimes the protag is left a bit thin in terms of development and personality, because part of it is that you want the viewer or reader to be able to sort of self-insert and see themselves as the protagonist. So keep them simple and then put the depth in with the side characters. And that Monkey D. Luffy as a character, I think, is still one that is very identifiable, or rather that one can self-identify with Luffy, but at the same time that the growth has been very tangible, and that in a lot of ways, I think that's good, because in a series this long, that people can identify with his growth, because people who started reading or watching this series 10 odd years ago or longer at this point are inevitably going to have matured and changed in their own ways. And while it's probably not involving piracy and giant battles, probably just me taking a shot in the dark here, probably not piracy. But you can still find ways to, find parallels with your own life and be able to identify in those ways.
Yeah, I love it so much.
One of the few things I still remember, I don't know why this detail has stuck with me for as long as it has. But I distinctly remember one of the very first arcs of One Piece is the one that introduces oh poof, his name just went out of my head. Large nose uses slingshot. Usopp. Usopp, yep. And that there was a thing with this like heiress and her inheritance, and that her butler was in fact the pirate of like the Black Hat Pirates, and that he adjusted his glasses with sort of the bottom part of his hand, the bottom part of his palm, because when he had his weapons out, that they were gloves with these giant blades. So think Wolverine claws, but instead of coming out of the back of the hand, that it was out of the tip of each finger. So that just he always adjusted his glasses like that, because if he were to do it in a normal way, that the blades would get in the way, and that it was this thing that I don't know why. Just the image of that character, the name that they changed it to for the 4Kids dub was Glahador. I don't know if that's the name that they had in the original or in the Funimation re-release, but for some reason, the name Glahador, because that's such an offbeat name, but for some reason, like it still fits. It sounds that level of fancy butler-esque, and adjusting glasses with the palm of his hand. I don't know why. It still is a vivid memory for me, but it is.
That was a great episode. You get introduced to like so many characters, and then that twist is just like, when you're younger at that point, it's just like,
oh yeah, and it's like,
what?
Wow.
It's so good.
And that's only like one of the first arcs, and it gets so much crazier from there.
It's even better.
So much more absurd.
You can't even like start with like Arlong Park, the Barati, like it gets crazy right after those too. And that was like even in an early stage, that was a really good episode.
Yeah. Meanwhile, over at Netflix, they're still ramping up for the live action one. They actually released a video earlier this week, or it might have been last week, I think, showing the construction of the ships, because they're actually apparently building out these ships like real sets, that it's not going to be a CG, but they're building at scale. It's not just all right, we're going to make a room and we're going to set up this set for a room, but they're actually building in their entirety the ships. And just seeing some of the time lapse of the creation is super impressive. I don't know how the series is going to go, because obviously,
live action
for however live action aside, all the things of live action aside, the big thing here is just going to be runtime, because obviously there's no way that you can squeeze 1,000+ episodes into. I don't care if you release a season of live action every year from now until the end of time. It can't be done at the full scale, because the actors will age too much. Exactly. Even if you do 10 hours worth of content every year at the highest production quality that is possible, that I don't know the math off the top of my head of what 1,000 episodes translates to, but just it's too much. So
it's a lot to undertake.
So it's going to be a question of, they obviously aren't going to be able to end the story, so where will they end with arcs? What will they do with it? And I think that's going to be, more than anything, the big question of it, because I have to assume that the production team is going in knowing we can't finish this. That for Cowboy Bebop, there is a distinct beginning, middle, and end. That it was 26 episodes of the anime. And that had the series gotten the traction that they had hoped, they could have seen it through to the end and had already. We have completed this story. There's no way in hell they can complete the story of One Piece. So the big question is, what's the approach? And I think that's going to be one of the big things to see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm very not apprehensive. I'm looking forward to seeing if it does really well and how far they can take it, because it is such a daunting task to try to compete with a series that's been going on for years, a decade or so, and
just live action adaptations of anime obviously have a very checkered history, shall we say.
Yes.
And it's the
yes,
type
for
of thing
sure.
that obviously they're going to keep trying. Same thing goes for comic book movies, that for decades on end, comic book movies were just campy fare and they didn't do well. But then we got Iron Man and we got the
Yep.
MCU, and that they're
Blasted off from there.
and obviously Iron Man in the MCU is vastly different from Iron Man and the Marvel Comics universe in terms of, the amount of content that is covered in the movies is a fraction of what is covered in the comic books. And that they have found a way to adapt that in a very a very fun, successful, and faithful method, even if it's not a one-to-one. And I think that's probably the approach they have to take with One Piece, because similar to the comic books, you can't get it all into, a 2-hour movie or even a trilogy of 2-hour movies. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just no way.
So, I will be the first to admit, I don't know if live action anime has had its Iron Man moment yet. I don't think it has. But I think it's inevitable that there will eventually be that one that really clicks.
Just hits, yeah.
Then, some have been more successful than others. Some have done okay. But I eventually, someone's just gonna do it right, and it's gonna blow up in a good way, and hopefully that will unlock, some semblance of a methodology. And obviously, for all the success that Marvel has had, DC has been, well, DC, that just because someone does it right doesn't mean that anyone can do it right. But I'm sure
that is very true.
I'm sure that eventually someone will do it right, that it can be done, and it's just a matter of who, where, and when.
Yeah, so the lightning in a bottle kind of a phrase there.
Mm-hmm,
When's it going to happen?
Yeah. Another of the really big shonen series going on right now, obviously, My Hero Academia. If memory serves, they announced that there was like a Hollywood adaptation that's, very early pre-production, nothing even in terms of casting, but that the licensing rights have been optioned to some studio. Obviously, it's far too successful for them to not try.
Oh, of course,
It's
absolutely.
too big for them to not try, and for someone to not throw a large amount of money at it and say, we're going to see if we can't make this work. And as with One Piece and everything else, we will have to wait and see. But, My Hero's between seasons right now. The manga's still airing. I'm caught up with the anime. I don't read the manga. Remind me how you consume My Hero.
I've gone up to, I think, how many seasons are there? Is there 5 seasons? Or
Five
6?
seasons.
I've caught up to the 4th one. I have not started the 5th one yet.
Okay.
But I heckin' love My Hero.
Yeah.
My goodness. Just good art style, good story direction.
Mm-hmm.
And superheroes are good. Superheroes are fun. But like the way they do it in their world setting, I just like it a lot.
Yeah, I think My Hero is sort of the next iteration of One Piece, that it's, big, it's gone for a long time already, and there's still a lot more to go. And just the difference for One Piece and My Hero to me is that I got into My Hero in the hiatus between seasons 1 and 2. So I caught up with season 1 and was ready for season 2 when it dropped like a month or two later, as opposed to, like I said, the ship has sailed for One Piece. I can't catch up.
Yeah, it's kind of
I was able to get in early enough, and I think we're at or just past the point of My Hero being accessible as a series, because 5 seasons is a lot. We're past 100 episodes. So at this point, I will encourage folks to get into it because it is legitimately good, but I will also be the first to admit, if you look at the episode count and say, I can't give that type of commitment to it, I understand that we are now at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's what it is with the good selling shonen for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite characters in My Hero?
All Might, to be fair, is probably my favorite one out of all of them. I think if I had to go with like the classrooms, though, I think my favorite would have to be. Oh man, that's a good one. Deku obviously is as a main person, main protagonist is really good. But I think out of the rest of the class, probably. Oh man, what's his name? I'm trying to think of the power right now as well. The friend of theirs, the glasses, the speedy legs. I can't remember.
Oh, Ida.
Ida, that's it. Right off the tip of my tongue. Ida, I think I love a lot because of his personality is just so. It's kind of one note. He's just like he's the uptight kind of like not
Yeah.
nerdy, but like
He's the class
teacher's
rep.
pet.
He's the rule follower.
Yeah.
He's the all right, everyone. We're gonna teamwork, rah rah rah, and buy the book.
Yeah. And then seeing the one season where he you get kind of question that a little bit. He kind of questions his morals. Oh man, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah. For me, I also obviously very much enjoy All Might and Deku. That I very much enjoy that Deku is not just he is the go get him happy protagonist, yes, but he's also not he's not a stupid protagonist.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He knows what's up, and yes, he might get tricked every so often, but when someone tricks him, it's because they did a good job of tricking somebody.
They're really smart.
He's a thoughtful guy, and I like smart characters doing smart things. For my favorite power, I like Momo's power, like the idea of being able to, just like create things and be able to literally sort of be a toolbox. That I enjoy
really
that concept. In terms of character arcs, though, Shota has been given a lot of stuff with his family, but
Shota, yes.
if I had to choose, I would probably say. Like, part of me, why am I blanking on the
which one?
The villain name actually? The
is it not Shigaraki? Is it?
Yeah. I think it's Shigaraki that I enjoy them, but also I like Present Mike. That Present Mike has been inserted into the story, and he started out as the literal hype man of just the announcer, and that he's also sort of the narrator in the anime, but that he's been allowed to become a full character. And without getting into spoilers, in season 5, he gets a little bit more development, and you get to see his character go places that he has not gone before. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes from here, because
I can't
just as a mentor character and as someone who has relations with a lot of the other very significant characters, that he is in a very interesting and unique spot himself. And I like seeing that type of exploration and development.
Heck yeah, that's kind of what kept me from saying I like Present Mike as a character, because for my encompass or to take it in, there's not much from it. And I've always wanted more. So now that you've said that there's stuff in season 5,
it's not even that it's not even that he's super central in it, but that they lay a new level of groundwork that he has not had before, that suggests that he will be more involved down the line. And I really want to see the payoffs for the things that they have sown in this last season.
Oh, I'm so excited! I gotta get started on watching that season now. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, definitely highly recommended, because memory serves, season 6 is going to be coming out not next season, but I think in fall potentially.
Ooh. Yeah, I gotta catch up.
It's not going to be too much longer.
No, yeah. The blink and you'll miss. It's going to be right there.
And I feel like for these that, falling one season behind, all right, you can catch up on one season. It's when you fall 2 or more behind it, then it can get a little bit more of a struggle. And then perhaps completing the trifecta, really, of some of the big ongoing shonens. You mentioned that you like Demon Slayer a lot, and, Demon Slayer is just good.
It's so good. It's
good.
Definitely in my top 3 for those things right there. I can't really say, besides One Piece being probably the top one because it's been there for so long, but out of My Hero and Demon Slayer, which one's 2 or 3, I couldn't really tell you, because both of them have their own certain strides.
Yeah, they're very different.
Yeah, definitely different, and that is the beauty between such a like definitely shonen thing like My Hero versus like Demon Slayer, where it's not particularly like the shonen, but like it has like wonderful character development. It has beautiful storytelling and animation.
The production values on
Oh.
Demon Slayer,
Chef's
I've said with others that just Studio Ufotable is operating on a different plane of existence from everyone else in the industry right now.
honestly.
You look at the stuff and you say, this is what I expect from a film, like a theatrical release at the big climactic battle, but it's
Yes.
happening episode in,
Through
episode out.
episodes.
Every battle has that level, and in the most recent season, the Entertainment District arc, it's I hope that the animators at that studio are being compensated
Properly.
and treated well, and because I look at something of that quality and I say, oh gosh, I hope this is not the result of like monstrous
terrible
amounts
company.
of overtime,
Yep.
because it's so good. And you hear these horror stories of studios mistreating their animators just to put out baseline stuff, that you see something nice and you can only hope that it's like,
Oh my
please
goodness.
let this not be the result of poor business practices, and just because it's so good. It's incredible. Even if you don't watch Demon Slayer regularly, folks, go to YouTube and just Demon Slayer Entertainment District arc fight. I don't know what the first video is going to be, but that search terms that should get you where you need to be to find a good clip, so
Oh,
you
really
can
good.
appreciate what's going on here.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that one too. It's only that's the
That
most
one's easy
recent
because
one.
that's only like 10, 12 episodes. It's actually not
That's
that
not
bad.
that bad. That's
And
really
that-
digestible.
That the My Hero season 5, I think it's 24.
24, yeah.
So, not too absurd, but Entertainment District arc is actually very short, and even shorter if you've already seen the Mugen Train film.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that the first, because it was this weird thing that they took the film and rebroadcast it in 6 episodes. So,
Okay.
depending on where you go to watch it, on Crunchyroll, they do classify them separately, so you should be able to find that there. But it's the
Kinda
type of thing that
jump
if you start watching, you see the start of Mugen Train, move forward 6 episodes, and then you'll get 2 afterwards. That in the rebroadcast,
Oh.
I think they added in like 1 or 2 scenes, nothing of significance. It effectively was amount to a
Basically
deleted
the
scene or
same
2
thing, yeah.
from the film, but that everything else, it's just beat for beat, it's the same thing. That this is not
Okay.
so this was a way to let folks who didn't get to the theater be sure to be
To
caught
watch
up,
that.
because
Yeah.
unlike most shonen anime films, that the Mugen Train film is canon,
It's-
and it is,
Yeah, it's
and it's
right
important.
after the first season. It's
that
very important.
there are consequences that happen in that film that have very significant bearing on
Yes, they
where the
do.
story goes from there. No spoilers, but I can tell from the way that you're talking that you have seen it as well, Gary. So
Big feels, yes.
Mhm.
I know, and I am. Oh man, I watched that for.
and they give you payoff
third
as
time.
well in the first couple
Yeah.
episodes of the Entertainment District arc, that they deal with the ramifications. It's not just, okay, this happened and we're moving forward. That they
moving forward.
the first
Ah.
episode or 2 is dealing with the fallout and then moving into the Entertainment District and everything that happens there.
Oh, thank God! I was hoping for that because that's kind of like a thing for like certain.
It's a
things,
things that happen in that movie are a big flippin' deal. You don't
Yeah, they
just
are.
move on.
I
You
hate
gotta
when-
sit down and address that.
Exactly. I hate when culture, like media, and like stuff like that, like they have like a cliffhanger or something like that, or some sort of like arc, and they kind of just move on from
And
that.
they just sort of
It's
sweep
like,
it
"Wait,
aside
What?
and they reset. No, they take time to appreciate what happened.
Oh, good. I love that's again. That's
and like
the
that's
thing
one
I
that
love about
it's
the
only,
show.
like I said, only like 12 episodes. You can watch that in a weekend or a night. That pick a
Yeah.
day, go on Discord or something, watch it with a bunch of friends that day, and you can just marathon it because it's nonstop.
Oh God, yes, that's all I wanted to hear. I need to catch up on that one. I probably will watch that one first, honestly, because just I love the production that they put into it. There's just like anime where they like you can see like the budget kind of skipped out in a couple of scenes.
Mhm.
Does not happen at all with Demon Slayer whatsoever. Like
That-
there's something happening like in the backgrounds, in the foregrounds. The detail is just immaculate. It's so
Mhm.
good.
Absolutely. Ugh. It's been a while since I've had just a good, sort of shonen jam with someone that,
Yeah, I love
because
that.
shonen isn't actually my bread and butter as an anime fan. That given the choice, I prefer 12 and 24 episode shows. I like to be able to have a
That's
story
fair.
with a beginning, middle, and end. And obviously, don't get me wrong, I love my hero and Demon Slayer. But I'm glad that it's only a couple and that those few are of that quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good stuff. And there is a reason that they are so successful. That it's the type of thing that when I talk to people about My Hero and Demon Slayer, I say you've probably heard a lot of hype, and I'm here to say that it's earned it. That
Yes.
they are just good series, and there's a reason that they have been picked up by something as big as Shonen Jump, by Crunchyroll, and all these folks. That there's a lot of manga and a lot of anime that doesn't see the light of day, or that doesn't blow up because some of it's even good and it doesn't see the light of day. But to really make it, it has to be something special, and these are the cream of the crop.
Yep, and then definitely for sure. Otherwise, the companies would just like dismiss it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put that time and money into it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. Definitely watch those ones. Outside of anime, when we were chatting earlier and you were telling me about some of your favorite pieces of media, you mentioned Scott Pilgrim. And
yes.
boy, it's been a while. That I feel like most folks who are nerds, in one way or another, appreciate Scott Pilgrim. That it's one that just hit all the right beats, made the right references. Have you both seen the movie and read the visual novel, or just the film?
I have seen both the movie and read the visual novel. I think
Same.
I have hardback copies as well. I love
Ooh.
Scott Pilgrim.
And the
Just
great thing
looking back
about
at my
Scott
shelf
Pilgrim
to make sure.
is that it's a very, we were just talking about One Piece at 1,000 episodes, My Hero at 100 episodes for the anime and more for the manga, Demon Slayer going on basically 3 seasons now, and it has ended. I forget how many. I think it's like 21 volumes of manga, and honestly, in relativity, that's not that bad. That's
No,
not
for
that bad
sure.
at all. But Scott Pilgrim is at 1 film and a very digestible 6 volumes of visual novel. That's it.
Yep. Really good. It's such a wonderful, wonderful series, both the movie and just the visual novels. Like, both have different feels to them, but like
Yeah.
still carry about the same air at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That the visual novels obviously have more detail. We were talking about
Yes.
stuff having to get cut. But it's the type of thing that the film, for what it is still just legitimately one of my favorite films of all time. I'm not going to call it one of the best films of all time, but it's one of my
No.
favorite films of all time because it's just so damn fun. It knows what it wants to be, and it is that. And it
It's
like-
so good.
would I have appreciated a bit more time with the Kadianagi twins? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But of all the ones that you could have cut, they're the ones.
Honestly, yeah. It's the way they go about it too is pretty like a good way to go about a short time with it, honestly.
Yeah, that they use their screen time well. They use it
Yes.
very efficiently. That it is
man.
a hype as hell scene.
Yeah, Edgar Wright being the director for that movie was
Oh my
such
gosh.
a perfect choice with how like the fights go down, how like the writing goes, and the comedy just hits right. And then on top of that, you have like these like the comic flashes, the pow, the whips, the lightning effects.
Yeah,
and
all the little
dribbles.
visuals, all the references.
It's so good.
Watch with the director's commentary.
Yes.
That they have these, fun little pieces of things from throughout the development, or just, little jokes that after the first Evil X, Matthew Patel is defeated, and Scott says something along the lines of, "Oh, just enough for bus fare." that the commentary track says that the bus fare in Alberta is actually increased to this many dollars, this many cents. Please plan accordingly.
Yes, I love it so much. They have just the right humor for this movie in the director's commentary. It's so good.
Yeah, I remember I saw the midnight release of Scott Pilgrim with a bunch of friends, and when that 16-bit Universal theme hit the screen, everyone applauded because it was just
so good.
You knew you were in the right place, and it was great. It was so good, and it's the type of thing. The talent in that film was already very good and respected when it came out. It has only gotten better with hindsight of 10 years, because you look and Michael Cera had already really made a name for himself as sort of the lovable, sometimes sad sack protag character, and he plays it well.
For sure.
You have his sister Stacy, who's played by Anna Kendrick, who I think this was coming off the success of Pitch Perfect and several others. But there were some other relative newcomers, some folks that had been in a movie or two, but it hadn't necessarily been household names. There was this dude, what was his name? I think it was Chris Pine.
Chris Evans.
No, wait, sorry. Damn it. Wrong Chris. Damn it.
There you go. Yeah, there's so many Chris Evans.
Bottom line is, Marvel Cinematic Universe Chris, one of the Chris's.
Yes.
Yeah, then Chris Evans. And then you also have Julie was played by, why am I blanking on her name as well?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Because now I was saying Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza. That's the one.
Mary Elizabeth.
Winston.
Yeah, Winston. Yeah.
However you say that last name.
Yeah. She's been Winstead. Why was I saying Winstead? Yeah. That she's been around, and then Brie Larson. In Marvel. Just that going back and seeing, wow, there's a lot of really big talent here. Some that were already big, some that went on to be even bigger. The fact that you have two of the Avengers in not the 7 Evil X's, because Envy wasn't one of the Evil X's, but that you have two of the Avengers in Scott Pilgrim, looking back, is still just staggering in and of itself, and the list goes on from there. And it's so fun. It's aged really well. That some of the references are absolutely dated, but the way that the references are executed has made it so that they still play off well, even if they aren't current.
Exactly. They just make it work super well without having as you said, they don't date themselves in a terrible fashion. Mm-hmm. Just in a good way to keep it kind of relevant, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that, despite the fact that it did not do well in the box office, that has become something of a cult classic, and that it has, I think, after the fact, between books and DVD releases, that I think that they might have been able to recoup most of their costs, but it was the type of thing that it did not do well in the theaters at all, which made me very sad.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's just how it goes for some things. You'd think that something would kind of appeal. I think it may be, if it released a year later, probably would have done super well in the box office, because nerdy culture at that time probably wasn't super prevalent with everybody. And then here we are with comics and everything like that, comic book movies and anime being the thing that everyone loves. It used to not be that way a decade ago. Everything was different.
Yeah, I forget what it was released against.
Oh man,
I feel like the week it came out there wasn't a ton, but for some reason I remember it being close to the release of the first Expendables.
Oh, that might have been it, honestly. Yeah, big Macho Man action movie would have crushed something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but glad that it has been recognized for its strengths, even if it was after the fact. In that, at the very least,
Yeah.
it was just a genuinely good movie. It wasn't like it bombed because it was bad, and that it's something that actors pretend didn't happen in their careers. That everyone who was
yeah.
involved with that film,
They loved it,
has, at least that I've seen in interviews, has said, "Oh yeah, like that was a great experience," and that they are proud of their performances there. And they've set it up such that there could be a sequel, but at the same time, it's not needed. That if we never get any more Scott Pilgrim, I'm okay with that.
Perfectly fine.
That it is a story with a beginning, middle, and end, and it's very satisfying.
It is, and that's just like the movie itself too. Not even like getting into like the visual novels, which I would definitely recommend for people who have not seen the movie or just have seen only the movie.
Yeah,
watch
the 6 volumes. It's so easy. You can do that in an afternoon.
It's wonderful to just read. Honestly, it's not a long read at all, and it's full of good jokes, good art, and just like more storytelling than a movie could ever do justice.
Do you have any favorite characters in there, whether it be one of the evil exes or just in the cast, because it's such a fun cast?
Oh man, goodness, Kim Pines is probably my favorite. Just a wonderful, sassy little character, and both in the movie and in the visual novel. Definitely Kim Pines.
Yeah, and Kim gets a lot more in the visual novel.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much of history between characters. Like it's nuts.
And the content that was cut, I think, was the right content to cut. That I think that something has to go, and that the fact that the movie stands so well on its own is a testament to the fact that they kept the necessary parts. And it's not a short film. That I think it clocks in at just under 2 hours.
I think around that, yeah.
So it's not that Kim inherently feels like she's missing something in the film. It's just that she is a more minor character in the film than she is in the visual novel.
Yes, yeah, definitely more prevalent in the visual novel for sure.
But the moments that she is given on screen, she uses them very well.
Yes, there's not a beat missed with her for sure, both pun intended and not pun intended.
Scott, you're the salt of the earth. I meant scum of the earth.
It's been discovered. It's such good lines.
The number of one-liners and just good quotable things in there. There's so much.
Oh man, just like what's his name? The vegan ex. All in the movie. So many good
Todd.
lines there. Todd Ingram. That's the one. Thank you. What great! That whole sequence has so many good pickup lines there from like the maid not cleaning on Sundays because she has an awesome weekend.
Yeah.
It's so good. The
Vegan
level 5
police.
vegan.
Last week you partook a gelato. Gelato's not vegan. It's milk and eggs, bitch.
Eggs.
And then yesterday at 12:25 p.m. you partook a plate of chicken parmesan. Chicken's not vegan.
So good. My goodness, what a fantastic media. Chicken, yes. I love that movie. I have to rewatch that for like the 1,000th time again because it's such a good one.
Yeah, definitely have to do that. Oh, that's the other cast member I forgot. Mae Whitman, who plays Roxy Richter. Because she's not known primarily for her on-screen roles. She's Katara in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's right. I remember like reading about that, like looking into her like the IMDb and just like seeing the things she's like listening for. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that's Katara. And then you hear back in the voice, it's like,
oh, that is Katara.
That is Katara. So good.
Yeah, and it's obviously wildly different characters there.
Absolutely.
Also, Johnny, hi there. Sorry I missed you earlier.
Johnny!
Gary and I were just jamming, was not glancing at chat, but welcome in, Johnny, if you are still around. Good to see you.
Hi, guys. Yeah, we're just having a good old session here, honestly. It's, man, getting to, like, geek out a little bit. So good.
I do need to rewatch one. It's been a while.
It's been, man, at least, I used to watch it like at least every year since it came out, but I haven't watched it in about like 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 years roughly for me. Yeah, non-binary says movie night.
Yeah, probably a movie night, man. Honestly, that'd be a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just sort of reveling in all this nerdy.
I totally understand.
Oh gosh, because that's one of those films that I can't rattle off every line right now, but I get the feeling that if you were to turn the movie on, I would just start going along with it. That I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but once you get me started in that film, I could probably quote half of it at least.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I used to like breathe that movie essentially, so I get that.
Edgar Wright, and you were mentioning him being like the right person for that film. That Edgar Wright has done a lot of other really good stuff. Just I hesitate to call him an underrated director at this point because he is very much appreciated, but he's one of those one step removed from what I would call truly mainstream directors. That he's very, very well known in the circles he runs in.
Yes.
Here in the L word, Scott, lesbian, the other L word, lesbians. Wallace Wells is probably
what a great character.
Like, and just what a performance by his actor. That just it's so fun.
Perfect fit for Wallace Wells. I can't remember the actor's name specifically, but great casting choices all around throughout that movie.
Holy cow, we've been at this for 2.5 hours already.
Not bad, honestly. Heck yeah.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love it. I love the show here. Being able to watch like from previous times, like Nin, Barry, Poppy, and I seriously appreciate it beyond here. Thank you so much.
Oh man, the pleasure's all mine. That I'm just lucky that as many awesome folks have agreed to take time out of their day, time out of their streaming schedule to be here. I'm just little old Vtuber Talk, just doing stuff. Hey, Cult of Many, hi there.
Hey,
we were talking about you earlier. That Gary was showing off some of his art that he did of you.
Yes. We love Many here. Everyone, I think pretty much everyone in the chat right now knows Many. I've heard. Perfect. Yeah, she's probably been lurking the whole time.
Yeah. He slapped the highlights out of her hair.
Oh man, I think that was probably one of the characters that didn't get a whole lot of like screen time. Was the drummer for Clash of Demon Head.
No, that was for Sex
Bomb. That was Sex Bomb.
Yeah, because it was Steven Stills, Young Neil. That's who it was.
Ah, yes. Young Neil. They definitely did more with his character in the visual novel.
Yeah. That they really flesh out the secondary cast a lot. Like, I'm also just gonna have to reread the visual novel, but like I said, I can do that because that would take an afternoon. It just
takes a day, yeah. If you haven't chat, please just go indulge in some Scott Pilgrim.
Please.
It's so good.
Well, as we start to wind down, we are now about halfway through the year. You have had your 1-year streamiversary. You have had your Senpai model debut. Do you have any big goals for the rest of the year? Whether it be, it could be something metrics, it could be hitting partner, or it could be something of, get that boss fight stream gamification you were talking about done.
Yes.
Anything that you're really hoping to hit before December 31st, 2022?
I would absolutely love to get partner for sure. I expect it this year. That's just like in my head. Like I can see that as a very, very
I suspect you'll be adding a little bit of purple to your profile in the near future. I just there have been like also I will say I'm not going to take credit because this is correlation, not causation. But I will say a not insignificant number of my past guests have come on my show and said, I hope to hit partner, and I've said I think you're gonna hit it pretty soon. Then like lo and behold, in 2 months,
And then bingo.
like gets there because you're already bumping up against it. That
Yes,
it's not a far
very
shot for
close.
you. It's not something that you need to ramp up and you need to, it might be late this year, it might be early next year. No, I think that my guess is you hit it within. I'll be super conservative. My guess here, and I'm gonna say within 4 months. But honestly, I would say within 3.
Oh,
I like, and before winter is my guess for sure. But honestly, I could see it happening in a month. Like, you are right there, man.
Oh, thank you. I just got to keep at it. I'm definitely working at every way I can to get the hashtag Gartner for June 24th.
Wait, is
that's
there
like the thing? Yeah. So Minnie's birthday is June 24th. That's my best friend. And she wants me to get partner for her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided Gartner is the thing.
Yes, because Gary partner.
Yeah, Gary partner. I make merch specifically for it. I put on the main outfit and everything like that. So we paint the checkmark green. It's gonna be a fun time. But yeah, we're trying to get there. I'm super close to it, so I don't know when, but it's not an if. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely a when, not an if.
Let's see, anything else? I definitely want to work towards the next the corruption arc stream, or I guess like the big boss battle kind of thing. Definitely want to do that, but knowing my expectations for it and how I want to execute it, not sure if it'll be this year, but I'll try to plan for it. Maybe late this year or early next year. And I do want to update this model because I love my model currently. This is 1.0, but I want to make a 2.0 model for sure.
Mm-hmm.
After doing Senpai mode, I see the things I can do with Live 2D and how quickly I've done it before. And I know with this model, I can upgrade it to be even better.
Yeah, for sure that your model right now has a wonderful, elegant simplicity to it.
Yes.
And like it's certain, like you've made this one your own, and this model is awesome. But at the same time, everybody wants to improve, and it's just sort of the natural thing in VTubing that you say, all right, no, I have my 1.0, and I love my 1.0, but I want to eventually get to 2.0.
Yes. Yeah, it's just the natural order of things is just improve and do better from the last time you did it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. I just realized, I think... Oh, no, wait, maybe not. I can't tell if for folks in chat, if you could do me a bit of a favor, test some VTTV emotes. I can't tell if the ones that are being used right now are channel emotes or VTTV. They might be, they might be channel emotes, and I think that there's a change in the overlay now, because I moused over one of them and the little thing popped up and it's like, I haven't seen that before. So we were talking about Twitch getting some updates. That must have just happened. Because I'm now like seeing this thing where, you mouse over and says emote channel. Usually I'm used to getting that when you click on an emote, not just a mouse over. So that's neat. Discovering stuff live on stream here.
Yeah. Oh man. I honestly love when like that kind of stuff happens, like right in the moment. Yeah, currently I just see like the name of the emotes come up when I hover over it, but I click on it and it shows me everything. But
maybe it's something different when I'm on streamer mode. I'm not sure. Maybe.
That could be it. It could be it. Or maybe it hasn't rolled out for everybody. Who knows? Because I know Twitch does a lot of things. Yeah. They have like a Twitch recap kind of thing going on now with certain people's profiles.
Colt saying that the mouse over thing demolished their frames last night.
Uh-oh. Oh, no, man, no.
As I now stop mousing over the things, then, fortunately, it wasn't too many, so I think we should be okay.
Luckily.
But
yeah,
I could see that being an issue.
Yeah, probably. Goodness, I wonder. Huh. Some things you see right in the moment.
Indeed. And the last question, the one I ask all my guests, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what does it mean to be a VTuber, but to you, GamerGoblinGary, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And I've had a lot of different answers. That some people have sort of a clinical answer of it is a tool in my arsenal as a content creator, it is a mask that I wear. Others have very personal answers, and some said, it lets me get in touch with my inner child, or it lets me be someone that I can't be in my everyday life. And all
Right.
of those answers are valid, and everything in between and beyond. That, there is nothing wrong with saying, a VTuber model is just a tool, and that I see myself as a content creator first and foremost, and this is the tool that I use in my creation, but that there isn't always inherently the emotional connection, but some people do have that. So, for you, GamerGoblinGary, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Man, being a VTuber to me is a wonderful escape from everything that I have to like worry about, but also a place and a style or a persona for me to be able to show off what I can achieve, what I will achieve, and what I have done. I do a lot of things. What everyone probably knows from me is that I am a DIY person. I am definitely mostly doing everything myself, with some help from friends and some commissions. Like I don't have my own music set up on stream. I commission someone else to do that. But everything else, art wise, animation wise, model wise, and performance wise, it's all done by me. And that shows off my abilities that I've done over the past decade as a content creator. And that is what I see as VTubing, is a thing for people to show off their potential and skills.
For you, that it's an interesting combination there, because it is a creative outlet. It is, a tool in some ways, but it feels like it's a bit more personal than that for you.
Yes.
It's the question that I always ask, and it's I feel a good capstone to the show, because everyone has a different answer, and I never know what people are going to say when they answer, but whenever somebody answers, the answer always makes sense.
Love that. I love hearing that.
It's one of the few things that I have done on literally every episode of Vtuber Talk since episode 1. This is episode 65 now. That
Let's go.
there's a couple things. The overlay hasn't changed too much. I'm very lazy, and this is all cardboard and duct tape free assets that I found places. But that's one of the particular things that I'm always sure to ask at the end, and it's always a fun one, always a really special one, really telling one. So thank you for sharing, and thank you, just like I said, for being on the show. This has been so much fun, just jamming out about anime, talking about music, performance, swapping some stories there, reminiscing about Scott Pilgrim, going through all the art. There's so much cool stuff, and this has been an absolute joy. I hope you've had as much fun as I have.
I've had a blast. I can't wait to see more shows of this, because it is such a fun time getting to see all the different topics that you go through with everyone else, all the different questions that you ask, and just the interactions between the host and co-host and everything like that. It's so nice to see, and I can't wait to see more as it progresses, and the more you do with it. You are definitely a bright place in this community, and I thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you. That means everything to me, honestly. That I have chosen to not monetize my channel, and that, like I've said, for me, guest enjoyment is paramount. And
Of course.
I'm very proud to say that, at least from what I can tell, I have been able to deliver on that for 65 episodes now, and hope to do so for many more. That I took a couple weeks off from rescheduling, then vacation, but actually I have a pretty quick turnaround, because my next show will be on Tuesday, and then there's another one 1 week after that, then might be 1 week off, but actually going to be having 2 shows in 4 days, which doesn't happen too often. So definitely stuff to look forward to there. That if you are interested in following me here on Twitch or on Twitter, that's where you'll get announcements regarding my guests, and just I don't create a ton of content myself. That a lot of what I do is that I share stuff with past guests and sort of curate in that sense, I suppose. But I have another show planned for Tuesday evening, and then, like I said, a week after. And let's just say that there's a name that you are very familiar with, Gary, that is
Ooh.
going to be for one of those shows that it's going to be a familiar face for sure.
Oh, I can't wait to tune in. I'm excited.
Definitely.
So, guys, better follow. Is it a thread? I won't say it's a thread. No, you should follow Jay here at Vtuber Talk, honestly, and keep up to date with all the shows coming up.
And as we prepare to end, who would you like us to raid?
Ooh, oh goodness, who's on right now?
That's a question, because it's Saturday afternoon, but it's still a little bit early. That there was actually a fair few people going live right around the time that we did. It seemed like 3-4 p.m. was sort of the start of the afternoon crowd. Now we're sort of at that point where in between the afternoon and the evening crowd. So let's see if we can't find somebody.
Ooh, I see a person I love very much as a individual and content creator. They are doing art. Let me see what's going on. How long have they been going on? Because I'd hate to just kind of go when they're about to be done. Oh, they've only started. Perfect. They are doing art right now. They are a Franken VTuber known as Alpine Showtime, and
I've heard that name.
Yeah, they do their own models and everything. I'll put it in your Discord real quick here.
Just ALPINESHOWTIME.
That's perfect. That's it.
Yeah,
Alpine is a super heckin' skilled individual. They do their own models, and their streams are probably one of the funniest I've ever been in. And currently, right now, what I'm watching is a show right now. Like, I can't hear it, but what's going on screen, I know everyone's gonna enjoy.
Ooh, I'm excited. Well, for anyone who is here, if for some reason you aren't already following Gary, please do so. Do yourself a favor. Follow GamerGoblinGary. That I'm guessing most folks here are familiar with you and are, but if you aren't, do that. If you're on YouTube watching one, hi, thanks for making it to the end of the episode on YouTube. Really do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Hey, for once I actually did the streamer thing. I don't know if I've ever actually done that before, but I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should do this. I don't know. But yeah, if you made it to the end of the video, good on you. And if you made it to the end of the stream, good on you too. But follow Gary.
Heck
He's
yeah.
great. He does good stuff.
Thank you.
And if you feel like following me, sure, go ahead. You can do that too. But follow Gary first.
Better. Just quick us both at the same time. It's fine.
There you go. Yeah. But again, Gary, thank you so much. Looking forward to Gartner in the very near future for sure. Like I said, this is, if I was going to Vegas and saying, all right, when am I 99.99% sure within 4 months? I would say, honestly, the only reason I don't say sooner is because it's not you, it's Twitch. Because
Fair, honestly.
Twitch be screwy in terms of, when they choose to bestow that purple check mark. That
honestly, yeah, it's just a guessing game.
That if I were to say, when do you hit the actual numeric qualifications to put in that application, if you haven't hit it already, because you're damn close, within 2-3 weeks, 2-3 weeks to hit the number, if not sooner. And then it's really just in Twitch's court. That's the reason why I say as long as I
their
do.
ball game.
Yes, hoping that Many gets to have that birthday present, hopefully.
We all love that, honestly. We
love to have.
Super love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Gary, for being here. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. I'm Vtuber Talk. I'm Jay. Jay's. I say at the start of the stream, the real folks are the ones that remember that I go by Jay. But if you call me Vtuber Talk, I'll still respond. That's still fine. But thank you all so much. We're going to be raiding into Alpine, so stick around. You all have a great rest of your day.